Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. This is going to be like a 3-hour video. This is my last video. I put this up at like 8 o'clock on this. Today will be Friday. Today's Friday, September 5th. And then I skip Saturday, or in this case, I'll skip Saturday. And then I come back in the morning on Sunday, and then Monday afternoon, Tuesday evening, and then skip Wednesday. Like, that's my new schedule here. So usually the videos I put up last or first are going to be a little bit longer for the obvious reasons. And, I got screwed by my merch company. It finally came out. They emailed and said, "We just stole your money. Fuck you." So you guys, that I'll start off with that. That was an ongoing thing that I just wanted to give you an update on. And that's brief. And then I get into this whole thing with Candace Owens and TPUSGay having a possible coming together for a debate, and then it fell apart today or last night. And I, so that's what's going to make this long. It's covering the whole scam, the whole weird thing, and just how bad all these Republican, these right wing, fake, hypocritical pieces of shit are. So that's it's a feel good day. Let's get into it here. Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. So, the merch company that sold $1,800 of profits that I was supposed to receive of my share of selling merch for my channel, um, they used to be known as. Let me look at these motherfuckers right here. They used to be known as. Where's the thing here? I don't know. I have it somewhere. Oh, here, Teespring. And now they're just Spring. And they finally responded to me. So they disappeared. They wouldn't. Now I can't log into my account. I guess here it is. And so let me read this thing to you. It's fucked up on a lot of levels. So they say I can request a payout of some of the money, but here, I just looked at it to make sure I could. Hi, Paul. Thank you for your patience. I wrote this letter. The one to respond to is in September 2025, but it was like late this summer that I first realized they fucked me. And so I had requested a payout in February of 2024. And so this is well after a year later, I realized they never gave me the money. Like, I just thought it was it went to PayPal. And I looked through PayPal and I realized I never got it. And I think I said something to them and they said, "Oh, it should just take a few days." So, my first time responding to them. And so then I didn't check back, which, I'm not a good businessman. But anyways, hi, Paul. Thank you for your patience, and I sincerely apologize for the long delay in getting back to you. I've reviewed your account in detail so I can provide a clear and accurate update. Regarding the payout you requested in February, during our recent company merger, we rebuilt our payout system and updated our terms of service. As a part of this transition, our financial team manually reviewed all pending payout requests to ensure they complied with the new policies. I've looked into your payout inquiry and want to provide important context. According to the terms of our company's acquisition, Amaze assumed assets and operations from November 2nd, 2022 and onward. Because of this, we are unable to process payouts for profits earned before that date, as those funds were not part of the payable balance Amaze acquired. I should have gotten this payout like right off the bat. I waited till it accumulated, so I didn't get any money from them. Right, I've gotten zero money from all the merch that people bought, and so I understand how frustrating this news may be, and I sincerely apologize for the disappointment it may cause. This requirement is a direct result of the business transition, and we truly appreciate your understanding. As a result, your payout request for $1,897.61, so basically $1,900, and $30.96 were canceled. The $30 was just recent shit. Like, it was, It was from this year. Like I requested the $30 when I realized the $1,800 wasn't being paid, right? So the $30 isn't from 2020. After the adjustment, the only payout amount currently eligible and pending is 560.48 cents. You can view this in the payout section of your spring dashboard. Status of the payout request. Your payout of 560 48 has not yet been processed to ongoing payout delays. You mean in the age of fucking computer technology, there's a delay. Like there's a 6 weeks delay or whatever it is relating to the manual review backlog from our system transition. Our financial team is actively working through all the pending requests, and we expect processing times to return to normal within the next weeks. Your payout is still in the queue. It'll be processed as soon as possible. Please rest assured your payout has not been forgotten. If you have any other questions, I'm here to assist and will notify you as soon as I receive any updates from our financial team. Best regards, Creator Experience Team. So the problem with all that is, the biggest problem here is that the reason I used this Teespring is because they are affiliated with YouTube. YouTube allowed them to put a store. There's only a few T-shirt companies, and this was the number one used T-shirt company. They allowed you to put a store right on your channel, so it made it so easy to sell your merch. And again, I'm not a businessman. People had asked me for merch. My channel was. And this is a time where the ad revenue was going down, and I did my best to slap together some merch. People bought some of it. Some people have bought things and never received it, and they paid for it. They never got their money back, like this kind of fucking thing. People had requested my help, and I did my best, but, I had no interaction with these people. So I contacted YouTube and said, these guys are stiffing people. There's multiple videos of them stiffing people. I'm not the only one they stiffed, right? And so... and some people, it's lots of money. Some people have bigger channels and they sell a lot more merch. And they just screw these creators out of their merch money. And YouTube still has a relationship with them. YouTube is still doing business with them. And because it was associated with YouTube, you would think it would be above board. If I'm looking at merch companies, and I don't know which ones are shitty or which ones are not, and there were no negative reviews because they hadn't done this shit yet, right? Like this is something they pulled very recently, and so nobody knew they were scumbags or whatever. They were grifters, and so YouTube was vouching for them by allowing them to participate. Put stores, merch stores, on people's channels, right? Other these T-shirt companies, YouTube doesn't allow them to do that, and so YouTube is grifting with these motherfuckers because, I tried to talk to YouTube about it. And they were dickish, and they stopped allowing me to contact them. Like they got rid of my ability to write to them because they're completely fucked up and a part of this thing. So we all know how YouTube sucks, but this takes it to a new low. And all the people who bought merch, supporting the channel, I got nothing. I've got no money from them, and I got a $560 payment when I sold some thousands of dollars of merch. If I got $1,900, I was supposed to get $1,900. They got $3,000 or $4,000 worth of money from people who bought merch, and then there was some people who never got the merch, and I guess the quality of the merch started to, it was just the whole thing, and so just absolutely fucking scumbags, and YouTube taking no responsibility. I can understand YouTube can say, all right, we're not responsible for their bullshit, but yeah, I can understand that, but then don't allow them to be on your channel. Send out a warning to everybody, say a lot of our creators are being violated by these people and being ripped off, so don't use them. And that should be public. The company should be just, go down in fucking flames, but instead they're just saying, no, we don't think we can do about it, and we're just going to allow them to stay here, even though we know that they're stealing from fucking creators and our audience. Viewers who are expecting to support a channel are their money is basically being stolen from them, right? They're getting merch, but whatever. So there's that. let's get into the other stuff here. Okay, today is Thursday, December 4th. I have to do the sitting today. I forgot to do it. I didn't get to do it Tuesday, and then yesterday, whatever. But the people who do the meditation on the Gratefulness meditation. But anyways, I want to say one more thing about the spring T-shirt debacle thing. You know, I know that YouTube sucks. I mean, we all know that all these, everything sucks, right? Everything's corporate. There's a level of evil there. Everything, every platform, every big corporation, everything that people complain about YouTube. But I've always liked YouTube as far as the platform as a viewer and a creator. They make it easy. There's things that I like about it. And when I went to do this T-shirt thing, it was obvious to me that the most credible one would be, one that YouTube endorses because, again, they might take a little bit more money or whatever it might be. But they wouldn't scam you because YouTube would hold them accountable, right? That they wouldn't be just out grifting, allowing them to grift. And, they've done this to all these people where they haven't paid creators their money, which is like probably the worst thing that YouTube should allow to happen. And when I sent my messages to YouTube and I had some exchange there, they were completely dickish about it. Well, we have nothing to do with this company. That's not, just whatever it was. I'm like, well, why would you let them on your platform? Kick them off your platform. Don't allow them. Don't endorse them in a way that makes them sound like they're credible. So, that's where we are now. And I'm not talking about that's just this thing that happened with me, that, nothing's trustworthy. And they can steal your money. They can steal your Bitcoin. They can steal your cryptocurrency. They can steal your, anybody can do this anytime. Banks can steal your money in the banks. Where wealth and stuff will just disappear. People won't pay you what they owe you. And it's just like, fuck you. Like, it's just, you've entered into that realm. And so along with this, I want to get into the whole Candace Owens thing going at TPUSGay. I mean, that's like going to be epic, and whatever, epically gay, epically, whatever it is. But I got two video clips to build up to that, and then we'll get into that. And then the Pete Hegseth thing is still, a thing. So this is called, the video is Road Rage Attack Captured on the Dash Cam of Austin Weather Reporter. So this guy is a weather reporter on some CBS Austin channel, whatever. This is a local news thing. They're showing this on the local news. And so I put it in slow motion because I was like, when I first saw this in regular motion, this guy looks like some kind of, bad actor in a kung fu movie, like, some 70s Bruce Lee movie where the guy's dressed all in black with a tight T-shirt and a ponytail. And he comes up and watch this fake punch. And fucking totally misses him, right? Now, you can see it in real time, and I'll show it to you. I won't speed, I'll slow it down. Watch him just totally miss him, right? Like, and so they're covering this like it's real frickin' news. I made the mistake of clicking on some brawl video. Like one of those videos you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get brawl videos forever, right? So that's why YouTube recommended this. And I thought they weren't doing that shit anymore, but there was some kind of brawl. I don't even remember what it was, like 4 days ago. And I was just kind of tired, and I'm like, oh, why did I click on that, right? Because I knew I'd be getting these kind of videos forever. So, but this one paid dividends because it's so fake. Let's playback speed. Normal. So, let's go to the news report here, show what they're saying.
It was a sucker punch.
CBS Austin morning meteorologist Avery Tomasco still seems a little shaken up by this punch caught on dash cam video this week.
He said one sentence with an obscenity in there.
They're covering this on the local news like he just got punched, when the guy clearly misses him. And like, it reminded me of the the Nancy, you know, her husband, and when that guy showed up with a hammer, right? And that, you know, remember that whole fucking weird thing with the hammer, and everything that happened off the police cameras. Like the guys stand there, like the cops open the door, and Nancy's husband standing there with the guy with the hammer, and the guy with the hammer then takes the guy, pushes the guy off camera, and then swings the hammer, so you really can't see it hit the guy, and it looks fake as fuck, right? Although that whole thing seemed like they were trying to tamp down that story. So I don't know if that was, you know, but it looked fake, right? It was just, you know, the whole thing. But they're covering this like it's real news, and clearly it isn't. And
hit my blank car, and I replied, no, you hit my car.
And then they slow it down
with his
like that. I mean, they slow it down. Like, why would you guys slow it down? Look, it doesn't hit him, right? And like the guys, look, he's looking at him, right?
And that's
and
when
like,
he swung.
And look, he's moving
With
out of the
his
way of the
entire
punch.
force.
Just moments before that,
It's fake as fuck, right? He didn't hit you. The punch fucking went right by your ear. And the way the guy was swinging, watch the guy who's swinging the punch here. Watch the guy hitting the punch. See, the way he's winding up here, watch him. Okay, look, I'm going to punch you now. Like, this is, you know.
You hit my car, and that's when he
And then look.
swung with his entire force.
just moments before that, it was a normal afternoon. He was driving on Mopac at Steck.
All of a sudden, there's a car coming into my lane. I slam on the horn, hit the brakes, but it's unfortunately too.
I don't know why you couldn't stop, bro. So anyways, so like they're just making fake fucking news in Austin, right? Just completely fake. And so you know, so there's that. Okay, so then YouTube recommended this to me. It speaks for itself.
We have become so incredibly desensitized to violence. From the hits on politicians to what happened to Arena on the train to the murder of Charlie Kirk, we are becoming so numb to it. And I know...
Okay, so you didn't mention any of the stuff that happened on the left, right? Like Nancy's husband. No, all that stuff. Like, you know, but there's an old Simpsons episode, probably 20 years old, where they're watching a movie. Bart and Lisa Simpsons are watching a movie. And Lisa covers her eyes and Bart says, if you don't watch the violence, Lisa, how are you going to get desensitized to it? So this is not something new, right? But look at where she goes with this thing.
There are people that do not like Candace, that don't trust what she's doing. But I want to talk about the fact that she believes there is a real threat against her life. And how do people respond? They mock her.
Okay, Pumpkin, settle down. Settle down, Pumpkin. Remember when I used to call people Pumpkin, especially these young dopes. They mock her. They mock her, right? So the reason I'm mocking Candace is because she's an attention seeker, which is 100% factual. Nobody can deny that Candace Owens is somebody who seeks attention and loves attention. You can see it. Like, it's just who she is. It's her number one thing. Regardless of whether she actually... Oh, well, let's watch this part here.
When she just watched one of her closest friends get shot in the neck, when we all watched that, she then says, hey, I'm publicizing this because I don't want that to happen to me. I'm publicizing that there might be a hit on me.
Okay, Pumpkin. It's like, here's the deal. Nobody's going to stop Candace from getting murdered, right? And if she does get murdered, no one's going to figure out who did it. Like, there's nothing that we can do. There's nothing you can do. Like her putting out, you know. So there's this show I started to watch called The Last Frontier. And there's a guy who is, you know, these shows often, there's things that they do that are just fucked up. Like there's, it's a show on Apple TV. And there's things that they do that are just, holes in the plot line, the storyline. People are so dumb now. Even shows that are supposed to be like more quality, that are supposed to be for smart, they make content just for stupid people. And the stuff for stupid people, they're constantly explaining the plot. Like, in a way that you used to be able to watch a movie and figure out what the people's, point of view was and what the plot was, just from people living their life in a normal way, like, without having to do dialogue to explain to you over and over on what's going on. Sometimes multiple times, somebody at home, going, there's like one smart person and, a person with like 5 more IQ points than the rest of the dope sitting on the couch. But it shows you how stupid people are, right? But this story, it started off kind of as an interesting story. There was a guy who's like one of these MK Ultra trained spies, and he is on a plane with a bunch of prisoners that goes down in Alaska, and they're all, out in this small town area, all these like, these desperados. And, the beginning of the thing started off pretty good. I thought this was going to be a good show. It showed like promise. But it gets to, there's a point where things just start getting stupid. Like the more you watch it, and this is what kind of happened with Candace Owens, right? Like Candace Owens was bringing it to TPUSGay, and we never saw anything like it, where somebody who was an insider was just tagging, like going after an organization the way that she was. And, the whole thing with Erica Kirk being so fake and all that stuff. And so, it was enjoyable to watch, even though there was never going to be some kind of a, anything to come out of it, right? Which I said in the beginning. Just like with Jeffrey Epstein. They're never going to release the files. If they do, they'll be gutted and nuded in some way. Whatever. Like, this is how all this stuff goes. But, in this show, there's supposed to be this guy, he's a super spy, and he's always 6 steps ahead of everybody else, right? Like, that's what his wife says. Like, she said she's the one who trained him, right? So they're going with this idea. And there's a point where he has this dead man switch, where he's going to release information if he's killed. And it's what he's holding over the FBI, the CIA, right? He's holding this dead man switch. And I've seen people talk about this in the past. And Candace Owens herself said, I've sent all this information out that I have. And if I get killed, I want all these people to release it, right? So she said this 3 or 4 weeks ago before she said the French Foreign Legion and the Egyptian planes and all these other people were trying to murder the princess. Murder the princess, right? And so, when she said that, and when I saw this in the show, what did I say? What am I thinking? The dead man switch doesn't do shit, right? Because you think you're going to stop Candace Owens' assassination with information? You think information is going to stop somebody from getting killed? You think the threat of releasing information? Because I can't do anything about it, neither can you. None of us can stop. None of us could save Candace Owens if they decide to kill her, right? What are we going to do, right? What are people going to do? They can kill you anytime they want. I mean, that's the thing. They can murder you in so many different ways that, if they want to kill you, they will. And that goes for any leader, any, whatever person it is. It's just how badly they want to kill you and what they're willing to, put out there. And they can do it in a way where they can just say, fuck you, and, we kill, and just lie about it. And, that person committed suicide like Jeffrey Epstein. And everybody knows he didn't commit suicide. And then have a bunch of people said, no, he didn't commit suicide, like Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and J.D. Vance and Trump's dopey fucking son. And all say, hey, that guy didn't commit suicide. And then get elected and come out, oh, yeah, he totally committed suicide. Right? Like, that's how much there's, information. They can just reverse course. They can just say whatever. Information doesn't do shit, right? And so this guy in the show, he says this dead man switch. And he's working against the CIA with all these people with technological abilities. And they freeze him out from the dead man switch. And I'm like, he has a spaz about it. this character was supposed to be a super spy and 6 steps ahead of everyone else. And I'm like, you don't have a backup copy, right? You got all this information on CIA and you have it in one place and just hoping that they don't crack your fucking dead man switch code with all their technological abilities that you know about because you're an expert in it. It's a stupid plot line, right? Like, I'm like, this is where the show's getting stupid. Because they try to say the character's one way. The character's 6 steps ahead of everybody else. And you don't have you don't have it on another server. You can't put it up in your various different clouds somewhere, right? This person's a technological genius. And so, but the idea here is that information doesn't stop shit. They can kill you if they want to kill you, right? Only the only protection you have is when, divinity. Like, they won't be able to do it because, the people who, the divine beings that oversee the script and oversee the events here on planet Earth won't allow it to happen, right? Like, it's not your destiny. Like, they want it, but they just can't do it, right? Like, it's like you're protected on a spiritual level and they don't understand why. And, the idea doesn't even come to them to kill you, right? They don't even think about killing you because, you're protected by God because you have a destiny and you're serving God. Like, that's your only protection in life. And, you're still going to die anyway. Unless, that's your destiny is to be assassinated or whatever it is, right? But in terms of, mocking Candace Owens, it's because it's goofy what she's saying, right? Like, when she inserted herself in the center of the story and made it about her, which she has now for the past couple of weeks, but particularly lately, and, it stopped being about Charlie, who's a piece of shit, and then, and she's basking in the attention, then, it's time for mocking Candace, right? Because she's done this stupid thing. Like, it's, and she's making the story revolve around her now. And it's getting goofy. The story is really goofy. She doesn't offer any real proof of anything. Most of it's just tips she gets and unnamed sources. And so, that's why she's getting mocked. Because the same reason Erica Kirk's getting mocked. Because she's fake. Right? She's coming off fake as fuck. And just like with Donald J. Trump, when they were trying to prosecute him and persecute him, the 4 years when Biden was president, I said, they're not taking that asset off the board. They're not killing Donald Trump. They could kill him if they wanted, and they could put him in jail if they wanted, and they could, make it so he couldn't run for president if they wanted. And I said, when any of those things happen, when they kill him, they put him in jail, when he has real consequences, let me know. Because he is a big asset for the left, the media, the Democrats, and the people who control the system. And he's the center of the story. He's the catalyst of the story, right? Which is what Candace Owens is now for this whole thing with TPUSGay. And Charlie Kirk stuff, it now surrounds Candace. She's getting the most views. She's where all the energy is. So much so that TPUSGay, which is trying to, take the alleged high road, is now, bringing her in, and they're going to have some kind of a thing, right? Which is going to go poorly for them. And so pumpkin, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just me mocking Candace Owens or all the people who are mocking her. It's not going to change anything, right? They're not killing her. Why? Well, they would have killed her already. The problem with the French government story is, if the French government can't kill Candace Owens, and the French government has some kind of, as Candace Owens saying, they're controlling America in a way because they supported America against Britain in the War of 1812 or what the fuck it was, right? The Benjamin Franklin days, France still has some reigns over America, and they can't come in and kill American citizen with the help of Trump and the French Foreign Legion and planes and $1.5 million. They don't even take a shot at her, right? Like, they wanted to kill her, but didn't even get hit her with a hammer, right? So it's a silly story. And, I hope the French government would be more competent than that and the leaders of it and all these other people, and Mossad and Israel, which is, no longer a part of the narrative for her, which is fucked up, because they're the ones who clearly would have gotten Charlie. And so she's hijacked this story, and she's saying, everybody look at me, and then, the mockery is going to start from that. It isn't going to change anything because it has nothing to do with anything, right?
And people laugh at her and they mock her. I mean, did you forget that somebody was literally arrested by the feds earlier this year for attempting to assassinate her? This has happened not just to her, but to so many people on the political right. And just because you don't like what she's doing right now, you're laughing.
Political right, but nothing on the left, right? Nothing on police violence and not that I'm saying the George Floyd thing was real. It's all that stuff's fake, right? Like anything that's a big story. But they totally profile black people, police do. Like that's a fucking real thing, right? Like, like you don't think that's a real thing? There's real political violence and all those things. And, if she was doing what she's doing and the French government was going to kill her, then she should stop doing that, right? Like that would be the way to stop it. If you knew that some fucking powerful government was trying to kill you and you're saying a bunch of shit that doesn't mean anything, who gives a shit if Brigitte Macron's a man? Like what difference does it make, right? If Michelle Obama's a man, like you're not going to prove it. They're not going to admit to it. And, what difference does it make? What difference does it make? It's a fucking, everything. We live in a sea of lies, right? Everything's fucking bullshit. You can't trust anybody. There's no accountability. There's no accountability in our system. And Candace Owens is mocking people all the time. I mean, it's her kind of one good thing she does. It's kind of funny the way she mocks all these people, and she's mocking them. And, again, if they end up getting assassinated, it isn't her fault for mocking them, right? It's their fault for being stupid and being mockable.
Laughing at her, you're mocking her. Like that's just where we've gotten to. No, all of this is serious. All of this is.
It's so serious. It's very serious. It's also serious. Fucking none of it's serious. It's a fucking joke. Our civilization's a joke and it's collapsing. It's disgusting. All this is disgusting.
We cannot become numb to these types of events.
We can't become numb. We can't become numb, right? The fucking French Foreign Legion was trying to kill her. We can't become numb. It's disgusting. You guys are disgusting. You guys stop mocking her. It's disgusting.
Not normal. This is not what America should be. And Trump has to take.
What do you Trump? And Trump's going to do something? Pumpkin, you think Trump fucking gives a shit about anybody but himself? Like they were going to assassinate fucking one of his kids, he wouldn't fucking care if it was something that was going to inconvenience him. You think fucking Trump gives a shit about anything and anybody? No, Trump has to take
all of this seriously.
Trump has to take it seriously. He does. Come on, Trump. Show us that you're such a good guy. Come on, Trump.
His base is counting on him.
They're counting on him. So this is fucking Pumpkin. We've entered into Pumpkin land again. Okay, we're going to go to the Blake Neff thing in a moment because it's wonderful. And then I'll come back and see what she has to say. I saw one thing she had to say, a short video. But to start off with, let's watch the beginning of her show.
All right, you guys, it's happening. It's happening. Everybody stay calm. After yesterday's episode where we went kind of for the jugular with Turning Point USA.
Yeah, you didn't. Like, you didn't fucking go for the jugular.
Because really, I think everybody in the entire world has had enough with the non-response, trying to move on, trying to gaslight us, not answering basic details. So we just went for it. And guess what? Turning Point has moved to formally respond to all of the things that we have said. And after a very long diatribe in which they wildly misrepresent the public
10 minutes. It's not very long. It's like 10 minutes.
And global investigation of Charlie Kirk's assassination, they at long last issued a public invitation or a challenge. I'm not sure what it is, but I accept.
Okay? Boom. All right, because he's gonna put the ball back in her court.
Quite literally, all we have ever asked for were sensible answers to our basic questions about what transpired on September 10th. And it looks like we're going to get those things. So major win. I am excited. Also,
okay, so I don't know how good this is going to be, but it's going to be something. Like, I'm looking forward to it. because let's go to see what Blake Neff had to say. The Charlie Kirk Show addresses Candace Owens' slanderous lies about the Charlie Kirk's assassination. And it's got 176,000 views. And it isn't because people like to listen to Blake fucking femboy, whatever his name is, because, he's the guy with probably the least testosterone on the show. He's like, he's what they call a twink. They got 8,000 comments. And I don't know if they're deleting comments because, well, let's start reading here. The truth always finds its way out in dark and into the light. God help the liars and thieves. Boy, the devil is working overtime in this situation. A false witness will not go unpunished. Whoever pours out the lies will not go free. We want the truth, for there is nothing hidden. There is nothing hidden that will be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known of or brought out into the open. It was an old episode, Charlie Kirk on Spotify are all gone. Can you please put them back? Because my husband and I are listening to all these previous episodes. Dang, wish Barrett Coleman could join the party. My gut telling me not to trust this weasel, meaning Blake. Never in a million years would I thought Charlie's passing would affect me so profoundly. It's probably nowhere near the truth, but the Republican Party felt so much more cohesive prior to his death. This makes me sad. It was already imploding. This is going to open a can of worms. I'm just here for the comments. R.I.P. Charlie, he's irreplaceable. Have the sit down with her tomorrow as long as there are no assassinations. Have her debate the amazing Mikey McCoy, LOL. The truth will set you free. Charlie Kirk is a hero. Wait a second. Was it not you guys who actually sold T-shirts at Charlie's memorial? That's what Candace was saying, which we'll get into, right? I'll show you that clip. Blake just read something that was written by the furry text authors. Okay, so the comments are less like, hey, you guys suck, and more like, oh, it's only 7 minutes long here. So let's watch it.
We wanted to use this segment at the top of this hour to say something important, something very important.
Because the rest of the shit that we've been saying sucks. Right? And nobody watches us, right? Oh, wait, let me go back. Well, I'll go back in a second. Let's watch the beginning of this thing.
For the past 2.5 months, there is a topic that has flooded our Freedom inbox. It has been nonstop on social media, but which we have almost totally avoided on this show. You probably already know what I'm talking about, which shows just how ubiquitous it has been.
Okay, it's because you guys have completely failed on this topic because you have no show, right? Now, I had speculated this is just a money laundering operation because they have no influence, right? Like, nobody's watching this show. Their show is fucking like, well, let's just show you here. So, an important message to the Republicans opposing Hegseth, 10,000 views. Michael Knowles' evaluation of the Pope after 6 months, 4,600 views. President Trump, should President Trump be meddling with Venezuela, 8,000 views. Exposing the Democrats' hit on Pete Hegseth, here's what's really going on, 6,800 views. Why the Democrats are more radical today than ever, 5,000 views. And these have all gotten boosted. Here's one, America's under incarceration problem, and it's now how it's affecting you, 3,000 views. Debunk leftist claim that whites commit more crimes than immigrants, 3,700 views. And if you look at the comments, 4,000 views, 4.9 thousand views. I mean, it's been boosted by this video right here. This drew people to their channel. You get a big video like this that has something, real in it. So, they've lost their audience. I mean, they get, the majority of the comments on even these lowly videos that get 2,000 views is like, you guys suck. Why don't you guys come out and tell the truth? So, and like he said, they're getting bombarded, their various social media things, because people do not believe the official story. And they're not going to believe the official story. Because the official story is fucking bullshit. And, it's just like the Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People are never going to buy that he didn't. And even if he did, which he didn't, but even if he did, people aren't going to buy it. And this is all about perception. And your show is about influence and about trust, and you have neither of those things, right? So let's get back to Blake here. Okay, so I just listened to Candace's responses. And there was one I already knew I wanted to. There was some YouTube recommended video about her talking about when they accused her of profiteering off of his death. And, they are so fucking screwed. It's going to be great because they don't know how screwed they are. But I'm just going to play this. I'm going to respond to whatever he says here. Then I'm going to show clips of some of what Candace's responses. And, they're fucked. TPUSGay is fucked. Now, here he is with Charlie's empty seat. And they've got Charlie here with this particular picture of him with his fist up in the air. Because it's like they finally, are being baited into bringing Candace Owens back. And I'll get into that because that's a kind of hilarious point of view, too. But let's start here.
Ever since Charlie's murder, Candace Owens has leveled a flood of allegations against people at Turning Point USA, people at Turning Point Action, and people who work for this show. She's made them against some of Charlie's closest friends and against some of his most dedicated employees. She has suggested that Michael McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, knew Charlie would be murdered, was happy that he died, and stayed silent because he was told he would be the next Charlie. She has suggested Michael is not his real name. It is. I have seen his birth certificate myself. She has called it suspicious that Mikey's wife, who works at Turning Point, helped plan the campus tour event where Charlie was murdered, which she didn't, by the way. She doesn't work on campus events.
Okay, so, there is a lot of content, and it's what I do here in a way, that's about creating a straw man, right? And you're making a straw man. She's trying to make a straw man out of Candace Owens, and Candace Owens has made straw man out of all of these people, right? So there's no, these people don't have the ability to respond on Candace's show, but she would allow them to, right? She's invited them on, and this is this whole thing that she's been doing, and she's like celebrating because she now is going to be back on Turning Point TPUSGay. Now, they're creating a straw man of Candace. The problem is pretty much everybody watching this already has heard Candace's point of view, and they agree with her. So when you try to create a straw man from somebody who's already defined themselves and their position, and, you're going to exaggerate things like he's doing here, like she does, right? The problem is, she's been operating in a vacuum because you guys haven't said shit about her for fucking over a month, right? And I'm going to go through this as we go through her responses. So if you've put yourself in a situation where, you're a candidate and your opponent is slandering the shit out of you, right? Your opponent has gone fucking scorched earth. You see this with Trump. And we see in politics, Trump was better at a shit fight than Jeb Bush. Trump was better than a shit fight than, all the other Republican candidates, Marco Rubio, all these other people, when he went against them. And Hillary Clinton is like good at shit fighting, but she's not likable, right? So those debates mostly went in Trump's favor, with the party lines already being drawn. But, you see in political battles where someone says, all right, I'm just going to go scorched earth. You ever see that movie Election with Will Ferrell and Jack Galifianakis, right? And it's kind of funny, but, it takes this to the extreme of, all right, we're going to go fucking scorched earth. And we're going to say shit and make shit up and, and we'll see what sticks. Like, this is no longer about anything positive. It's no longer about American dream. It's just about who's the bigger piece of shit, right? And Trump, has been good at making people look like a piece of shit. Candace Owens is good at doing it too. And these guys suck at it. Like they're unlikable. And so they're fucked. Like they don't know how fucked they are by doing it this late, and they've already lost their audience who are prejudiced against them, who never had any loyalty to them. Apparently, Candace is going to talk about this guy being a part of Charlie's show before, and I'll get into that when she says that, when she talks about him. But, you know, you're so fucked, right? Like, and again, I don't know if this is staged. I don't know if this is, you know, they're working together. This is, you know, part of something. I don't know. We'll see the outcome, and we'll know whether it's fake as fuck or whatever when it happens, you know, post it happening and what the results are. But if they are actually in a adversarial situation with Candace Owens, they are walking right into a fucking ass kicking, right?
Candace has suggested the Utah Valley University event was unusual and its details suggested a, quote, inside job. She has claimed that foreign aircraft have followed.
Okay, so that one, all she has to prove in all these situations when she's debating them is that they did things differently on this day than other days, right? And all she has to prove with the airplanes is that they were there. Like, if they admit that those planes were in the area at that time, and they're just going to call it a coincidence, they're fucked there, right? So these are all ways that they're fucked. Like, you have to think in a way like, you know, what is this about and how are we going to look bad? Candace just has to create some level of doubt in the official story, and there's a shit ton of it. And she's going to hit all these fucking points. She has a good memory. She's smarter than these guys. And so, again, as much as she's all about, hey, and she, you know, she gets to be the fucking belle of the ball, the center of attention on your show. She's going to fucking take it to you on your own fucking turf. And you guys are just setting it up for her to do it. Again, I don't know if this is part of something that's staged. I mean, it's all staged to one extent or another by the, you know, divine drama. But, like, whatever's happening here, like, you're walking into an absolute ass kicking, right?
Erica Kirk around the country, and that Turning Point has lied about this happening. She has accused us of lying about Charlie wanting Erica to take over for him if he died. She has suggested Charlie's security team intentionally denied him first aid after the shooting to ensure that he died.
Okay, so her response to this was the guy went on that interview with Jack Ryan, whatever his name, something Ryan, Mike Ryan, you know, that Ryan fuck that was on with Tucker Carlson, and admitted they didn't do any first aid. So you're already fucked there. Like, it's already been admitted by your security team. Like, she has these details already. And so, again, when you're operating in where there's a straw man, you know, people can't go watch Candace Owens' show, which they are watching. Like, she's getting more comments than you're getting views, then you're fucked, right? Because, you know, she has a bigger platform. Like, she has a bigger dick than you guys, right? You guys are sharing one testicle. Candace Owens got a much bigger dick than you guys. And so, like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, how do you think this is going to play out, right? And again, if this is a money laundering operation and you don't need an audience, then fine. But you don't have an audience, which, you know, we'll get into more as we go through this.
She has raised suspicions about the head of our technical team because he took an SD card out of a camera.
Okay, so she's going to address this one. I think I have that. Maybe not. I don't think I'm going to cover that. But what that guy did right before he took the SD card, he went and made a fucking reaction video, which he didn't share with anybody but fucking Candace. Like you should have left that one out. Like, if she shows the reaction video to your audience that hasn't seen it, and she says, "What the fuck?" when you guys are trying to defend this guy, and even, you know, if that guy's even there and he's got a fucking, you know, I'm sure this guy is not fucking, given the reaction video, he's inarticulate, and he announces Charlie's dead without even knowing it. It's the weirdest thing ever. He's like, all right, I'm going to go over in a corner and do a reaction video to Charlie getting shot like 30 seconds afterwards, and then I'm going to go grab the SD cards out of the fucking hologram projector, right? And so, like, you're so fucked. Like, why would you bring that up? Like, it's just bad. Like, that guy should be nowhere near your defense. Like, that's a witness you don't want in your fucking defense. You don't want to bring that guy in. What the fuck are you doing here, gay? I mean, Blake. I didn't do that on purpose.
Has spread absurd claims that Tyler Boyer, who we just had on the show, sexually abuses male interns.
Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to show you. Because when I heard this, I was like, holy shit, are we going to get this guy outed? Because to me, like I said, one of the funniest things, I'll tell the story again. It's not really a story, but there was this guy named Spiritual Bob. In my first treatment center with kids who had been termed sexually reactive, but they were kids who had been sexually abused and then had abused other kids. And many of them had, abused other boys, but they were very homophobic. Like they just don't like gay people. And Spiritual Bob would come into this. It was a Catholic-run treatment center, like it was part of a Catholic church. And he would come in with this guy named Ray, let's call him Ray. And Ray would look at Bob like he fucking loved him more than fucking Jesus and life and whatever. They were like really gay. Like they were just, like everybody, knew it. Like the kids picked up on it. And Bob was very effeminate, like flaming, like, but he was supposed to be like the spiritual guy. And me and the staff used to look at each other like trying not to crack up because everyone just knew it. Like there wasn't anybody on campus that didn't think Bob was not gay, right? So, and he would come in, and one time some kid just gets up and starts calling Bob the F word. And we're trying not to laugh because this guy's pretending to be really religious, but he comes in there with obviously his gay lover. And like, the Catholic Church is somehow, whatever the people who are running this organization is allowing this guy to come in. And the other guy had a guitar, and they would sing songs, and they would talk about Jesus. And it was the funniest fucking thing, right? Because when you have people who are anti-gay, like Republicans, like I don't give a shit about any of this stuff. I don't care. Like I don't care what other people do and think and whatever it is because it's between them and God. And, I'm free from all that shit, right? Like, I mock people, yeah, and I call bullshit on all this stuff, but I don't care about it. But when you have these guys who are supposed to be, and they're anti-gay, TPUSGay is anti-gay. Like they are, it's one of their claims, one of the things that's about them. And this guy, Tyler Boyer, Candace Owens said, was hooking up with interns, and they're making that part of this fucking debate, right? And Candace will show you what she says about it in a moment when I get through this guy's thing. It's the first thing I'm going to cover. And it's my number one thing because, Tyler Boyer introduced Erica Kirk to Charlie Kirk, and he hired this guy and all the rest of them. And they're very effeminate. If they're not gay, they're not the right-wing masculine testosterone males like that Ryan guy with all his guns and all these, who can also be gay. But they're, very offensive. This guy would be considered a twink. I mean, you would think they're gay. Like, if they're not gay, they're very, they have more estrogen than testosterone. Like they're just, like I call those two beta males sharing a testicle. And that's like going to be great. Like if it comes out that TPUS Gay had the guy who was the former CEO of the company, the guy who was second in command to Charlie, who ran all of it, who hired all these people. And, he's really gay acting. If it comes out that he's gay in this thing, or she presents a case for it, we'll see what she has to say. That's going to be like Christmas for me. Like that's my number one thing is that happens. That TPUSA becomes TPUS gay. Like not just because I say it, but everybody fucking knows it. Right? And that's going to be great.
She has suggested that TPUSA faith-affiliated pastors, like theologian Frank Turek, who we'll have on in a moment, and Pastor Rob McCoy, are part of a military, quote, infiltration of Turning Point, either because they are veterans or because they have family members who are.
Okay, so, they don't understand how people's minds work. And, I'm going to restate some of these things because it's important. But all of you who have done this know that when you're talking to people, you can't convince them of something they don't want to believe in. Like any of you guys who talk to your sheeple friends. And, well, let's watch this play out, and I'll talk about this more later. But that, like, when people are already believe something, it's really hard to unconvince them of that thing, right?
Even if not everyone has been named specifically, though, Candace has effectively tarred everyone here with complicity in Charlie's death by repeatedly saying he was, quote, betrayed by, quote, everyone. She has said Charlie's murder, quote, had to be approved by Charlie's friends, and then suggested those friends might have her murdered too for, quote, knowing the truth. She has made claims of financial impropriety and fraud at Turning Point, adding up into the millions of dollars, which, again, is not true. Charlie made sure the organization was audited by a third party every year. He personally reviewed and he signed off on every expense report, and literally every single bill paid by the organization, down to a single United States dollar.
Okay, so this is fucking them here. Because there's an accountant who's gone through their shit, and he found like shell companies and shit. And, you know, anything that's like this, when it becomes financial fraud, you just have to prove doubt. Like, all Candace Owens has to do is prove doubt in any of their positions. You know, like, she doesn't have to convince people that she has 100% factual evidence of all of these things that he's saying. Like, she doesn't have to do that, right? It's not about them saying, oh, you were wrong about this, Candace, and proving she was wrong about something. And, you know, we'll see how this goes in terms of the interaction. Like, she starts off very calm and then sort of gets emotional near the end. As you know, I'll show you that some of the things here in a moment. But if they have to open up their books to her and these other, you know, her investigators, one guy who's an accountant who's showed that they had a company that had paid out $8 million in salary but had no employees listed on it. Like, that's shady as shit, right? And, like, you know, any of those things, that's math. You can't fucking get away from that. You have no explanation. But the bigger prop here is their story keeps on being that Charlie had this company audited all the time. But Charlie, 8 days before his death, said, you know, in a letter that they guys have admitted is true. So she just has to read that letter to all the people who haven't heard it and all the people who have and say, that's something different. That he wanted this thing audited in a Doge-style way. He replaced that one guy who's, you know, might be gay dude, whatever his name was, Tyler Boyer, you know, that he replaced him with somebody else and that he was going to have the thing audited Doge-style. And that was separate from what he's talking about here. Everybody knows it, and that comes directly from Charlie. And you're not going with his wishes, and you're going to be on the hook to do that kind of audit, which is going to be monitored by, like, Candace and these other people, because you've brought them in now like fucking dopes. And there's no way you guys aren't fucking taking money. There's no way that audit's going to come out clean. There's just no fucking way. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars that Charlie was not only concerned about where it was going, but where it was coming from. And so, like, you know, that's already his wishes. Like, so you're bringing up shit that's just going to fucking smack you in the face, right? And, like, you don't have the capacity. I mean, you're so fucking unlikable. Like, how do you think it's going to play out, right? Like, don't you know what you're up against here? You're up against millions of fucking people that think you're full of shit already, right?
We have never missed a 990 deadline. Candace has made other stranger allegations involving French paratroopers in maroon shirts, Egyptian Air Force planes flying out of Provo, Utah, and potential underground assassins traveling through unseen tunnels. At one point,
you know, all that shit sounds crazy when he's saying it, but people already believe it, and all you guys have to just confirm some of that shit. Like, it could have nothing to do with your thing and Charlie's death, but now it's going to be like fucking a part of it, because it's just she has to just prove that those planes were there, and or there are tunnels, and you guys just have to, like, concede some of that shit to her, or not answer and make yourself even look more guilty. Like, you're setting yourself for an absolute ass kicking.
In early November, she started wildly throwing suspicion on members of Utah Valley's soccer team for wearing hoodies. I could go on. There is always something new coming up, and none of it ever pans out, because from the start, there has been nothing there. The attacks and allegations from Candace are either lies or they are innuendos thrown around with a total, reckless disregard for the truth, so that Candace can manipulate and string along an audience of people who don't realize they are being played. Instead of being able to...
Okay, so this is he's gonna get more into this as you go, right? Well, let's just let him hang himself here.
Grieve properly after one of the most heinous murders in American history, a murder many of us had to witness. My friends have had to endure harassment from people who have gotten whipped up by what Candace is saying. In fact, I would say we have suffered more harassment from these people than we have from Antifa supporters who overtly celebrate Charlie's murder. And just like a lot of those Antifa members, many of these people take this delight in how gross and unpleasant they can be.
Okay, so that's your audience, bro, right? It's your fucking audience. You've lost your audience. This isn't fucking... You're comparing your audience. You're saying your audience is worse than Antifa people? Like, you guys are acting like the fucking victims here and saying, by pushing the official story. Did you not know what your audience was about? Did you not know what right-wing fucking crazy fucking TPUSGay people were about? You didn't know that they were fucking conspiratorial and they don't trust the fucking government? You don't know right-wing people don't trust the fucking government? You don't fucking know that? Like, I knew that when I was a fucking kid. Like, I knew that when I was a child, and I grew up in a mostly Democratic liberal family. I don't know about liberal, but, you know, Democratic and kind of liberal. Like, you don't know right-wing people don't trust the federal government and people don't fucking trust the government when it comes to assassinations. You didn't just watch the Jeffrey Epstein suicide thing that happened. You're not watching what's going on now, that Trump and his fucking cronies are trying to reverse their opinion on Jeffrey Epstein and withhold the files, and how quickly they turned on him. You didn't see what just happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump and these other fucking people. You didn't see the fucking, you know, Trump like fucking babbling to himself. And the worst thing you can do is tell your audience that's conspiratorial that the official story is right and get over it and fuck you and you guys suck and you guys are being mean to Charlie and we're the ones who are grieving and we're Charlie's real friends and you guys are a bunch of fucking piece of shit. You guys are worse than Antifa. Like, what are you doing here? You guys, every time you come out, you try to mansplain how all this stuff is bullshit, right? Let's watch and listen to this part.
Our friends have had to endure is not funny, and it's not insignificant. It is evil. I have seen it.
You're calling these people evil? You're calling the people that you're trying to win these people back by calling them evil?
For months, we have received hundreds, thousands, I suspect, emails and calls asking us to respond. People have wanted us to invite Candace on the show, but for a long time, our approach was to say nothing.
Just read your fucking comment section. You've lost your audience, and you're trying to win them back by telling them they're full of shit. You've already lost this debate. Are you fucking on crack? Like, how fucking stupid are you, right? I'm gonna show you this whole part when Candace responds to all this shit. But like, are you fucking insane? Like, what do you think's gonna happen here? These people, like, when people are in a debate, like, let's say you're in a presidential debate between Trump and Kamala Harris, and who are they competing for? Independents. They're trying to secure their base. They're trying to solidify their base, right? They don't want to piss off their base. And they also want to bring in some other people, right? And Charlie Kirk was about this. Like, you know, he wasn't trying to win over the liberals, but he wanted to represent his base, expand his base, and then bring in people who were a little bit undecided. You know, that's how TPUSGay rolled. And they had all that money from Israel and all that shit. So they were able to do it to whatever extent, right? But for you guys, you've lost your audience. You have no fucking base. You don't have Charlie. Charlie's mojo didn't carry over with you. It's all swung towards Candace. She has millions of views on every one of her videos. You guys got 5,000 on lots of your videos. Nobody likes you. Nobody thinks of you as a replacement of Charlie. In fact, they hate you in many ways, and they think you're full of shit and lying. And so she just has to, it's going to be very easy to create doubt in any number of these things, and those people are going to be like, they don't need convincing. They already fucking believe you guys are full of shit, right? And you guys have to convince everybody that the official story is true and that all this weird shit and, you know, all these discrepancies and all this stuff that doesn't add up is just made up by Candace and other people. You're not going to convince people. You haven't done that yet. You can't do that in a vacuum when Candace isn't even fucking there to call bullshit. When you guys come out and try to mansplain to your audience about all these things, you get rolled by your audience in the comment section. How the fuck do you think it's going to play out when Candace is there to fucking ring you up in person? Are you fucking insane? Like, what? Are you retarded? Like,
We did that for several reasons. First, we thought that her prevarications were so absurd that nobody would believe them. We shouldn't have to answer questions about secret tunnels or Egyptian Air Force planes.
okay, so the planes is a fucked up thing, and I've mocked that myself, but that it's not going to be about that, right? And if you guys admit that the planes are there, then she's won that thing. Why are the planes there? Like, she doesn't have to prove that the planes had something to do with Charlie's death. She has to just prove that they're there, right? And she has whatever she has, what she's bringing to the table. But people are going to believe her already because you're unfucking likable. Nobody believes you guys, right? But you're saying that you shouldn't have to answer questions because nobody's stupid enough to believe this shit. That's your audience does believe it. You've lost your TPUSA audience because they do believe these things. Maybe not all of them, but they don't have to believe all of them. It's just got to be something that shows the official story is bullshit, and you guys are complicit with the fucking government. You're complicit with these three-letter agencies, and Trump has already taken a fucking beating on Jeffrey Epstein, so you can't even use him as a way to say, hey, Trump wouldn't let this happen. Nobody likes Kash Patel or Pam Bondi. They've lost all credibility with your fucking audience. So what you're telling your audience? They're too fucking stupid. So like I thought you guys were smarter than that. Like you guys are not believing the official story. You guys are a bunch of fucking dummies. You're telling truthers that. You're fucking gaslighting them. You fucking bald twink, right? Like are you fucking insane? What do you think's gonna fucking happen here?
That sort of thing is just, it's beneath contempt to respond to.
It's beneath contempt to respond to. We don't even need to respond to you guys who have given us millions of dollars in donations and have bought these shitty little 47 hats that turn out to their value is plummeting, right? You don't have to respond. What are you fucking doing here, bro?
The second reason we've said so little, though, is because there's a good rule of thumb, which Charlie followed. Do not feed the trolls.
Your trolls are your audience. Your trolls are your fucking audience. They're not, you've already said it. These are people on the right wing. Your trolls are the audience. So you're calling your audience trolls? Like, how do you think that's going to fucking go, you moron? Like, you guys aren't even able to define what's going on here, right? I mean, again, like I just said that I think that they're just giving up on this thing because it's a money laundering and they don't care if they have an audience or not. But I guess they do now, and now they're fucked.
Focus on the mission. Reviving America, uplifting young people, making heaven crowded. Don't give air to people who want to tear you down and sow discord. Lastly, we didn't respond because Charlie always viewed Candace as a friend, and
viewed her so she wasn't a friend. You're saying that? Like you think, like like everyone thinks she's more of a friend than you are, and certainly Erica. Like you're going against what people already believe here.
we were holding out hope that she would return that friendship and stop what she was doing. But a week from now, it's going to be 3 months since Charlie's murder. Candace has not changed her behavior. She has continued to spread falsehoods about Charlie's friends, and she continues to concoct new ones about new people. She's using these falsehoods to enrich herself while dividing the conservative movement at an absolutely critical time for this country.
Okay, to enrich herself, you know, they're not divided. They're against you. You don't have an audience. You don't have there's a smattering of people. You got a fraction of what your audience used to be. I've showed this on the view count over and over again. You guys don't know how to look at your view count and go, wow, we're not getting anybody to watch our fucking shit anymore. What's wrong? What's fucking wrong, right? You know, you're pissing off your audience by telling them they suck, right? And, you know, then pandering to them and trying to get them to buy your shit, right? And so, you know, in terms of the divisive stuff, she rings him up about who's, you know, profiting off of his death or not. So I'll wait till she says stuff there because that's, you know. And somebody already made a comment about them selling hats at his funeral, which she said. So, I mean, you're just so fucked.
And far too often, we here have heard from ordinary people, people who loved Charlie and who Charlie loved so much in return. These people have expressed the worry that we are staying silent out of cowardice or as some sort of tacit admission that some of the attacks are true. Neither is the case. Our silence has never been, and it will never be, equal to complacency or approval. Still, we decided Charlie would not allow this to go on.
You mean for after 3 months of taking a complete hammering? After she's fucking stole your audience and slapped you in the face with her giant fucking dick? Right? Which, of course, all you guys like over there. And now you guys are going to fucking show that you have a fucking set of nuts? Or you're sharing one? Like, Jesus Christ, you guys are so fucked. Why'd you wait so fucking long? You know, like when you cave, you're caving to what she wants. Like, she's partying right now, and so are her fucking audience. And again, this isn't about her crazy fucking claims and her making herself the center of attention, right? It's going to be about any of the things that she has. Some of the things are legitimate. Many of them are legitimate. Many of them come directly from Charlie that you guys are not following through on or are hiding or not, you know, all the bullshit things that all these people have seen in the discrepancy to the official story. You got to win the case. You got to prove Tyler Robinson did it. In this debate, you have to prove Tyler Robinson fucking killed Charlie Kirk, and there's no doubt about it. And all the Candace Owen people are full of shit. And even if you could prove it, they would never fucking believe you. Like, they're not going to fucking believe you. So as long as you guys back the official story, as long as you keep on, you know, backing the federal story and backing Trump, who people are like leaving, like people don't fucking believe in Trump. They at least have their doubts. You don't have anybody now. Charlie's dead. They think you're misrepresenting him. They think you're covering up for his death, which makes you look complicit. And like I've said before, there's no way they do this without having Erica on board. So Erica's already fucked. I mean, you know, these guys don't know that yet. But, like, you know, they're maybe too stupid or too, you know, they just can't get there. But, and Candace isn't saying this, but there's no way that they kill Charlie unless Erica's on board with them. And she's going to, you know, push the official story. But she sucks so bad. She's such a grifter. I mean, all that shit, right?
Charlie was not a coward. Charlie was a fighter. Charlie would not allow someone to spread lies about the people closest to him with impunity. And he would feel ashamed if other people were stepping up to defend his friends while he never did so himself.
Okay, so they wanted to show this shot as Charlie. They're trying to claim Charlie. Like, that's what this is about, right? You know, but fucking, well, here.
Candace has mentioned several times that the ball is in our court. So here's what is going to happen. In the near future, there will be a live stream here in Phoenix where we address in a clear and comprehensive way the claims and accusations, the false accusations that have been made against Charlie's family, friends, and the people here at Turning Point. We plan to walk through everything carefully and thoroughly. If Candace is available, we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream at our studio here in Phoenix. At this point, we believe the ball is back in her court.
You never invite the jilted ex-girlfriend to the wedding. Candace has tried to get back to TPUSGay. You know, she said she didn't want to go to any of these events, and you guys didn't invite her. You didn't bring her into any of these things. You know, which, who's to say how much this has to do with that? I don't know. Like, whatever's sincere about Candace, whatever is intention-seeking, but she loves attention. And then you're now bringing her back into TPUSGay event as an adversary? And, you know, like, it's the ex-girlfriend that has all this dirt on you, and you're going to invite her to your wedding? Right? This jilted ex-girlfriend who didn't fucking, you know, who has all this resentment, right? You know, I was, there was this, my brother dated this woman when we were doing the meditation, the Sajmark meditation. You know, the meditation that I do. And my brother was working as a counselor. He was a few degrees short of his degree in psychology. Like, he had 3 credits and he quit, you know, like when he was younger. But he was an ex-vet, and he was counseling veterans, and they loved him as a federal job. And this woman he worked with was in like a shitty marriage, and she was like, you know, married to an alcoholic. and they hooked up. She was much younger than he was, and she was a Christian, and she was, debating whether she should try the meditation. And my brother, got her to do it, and she liked the meditation. I met her; she seemed all right, and he wasn't really into her, like I could tell from the beginning. And my brother's just a womanizing piece of shit, right? And things went south. There's a whole long story I've told in the Journey series. And we all are in India together, like years later. And like she had talked to me, and she knew that I saw that Peter was full of shit, my brother. But I get sick, like I get really sick, and I'm going to get sometimes you go through this thing called like what we call cleaning, spiritual cleaning. And in this case, it was like stomach issues, like diarrhea, just like, what one older sort of burnout hippie had called getting the shits, right? And this stuff happens in India when you go there anyway. And I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm supposed to go meet this guy, Kamish Patel, turned out to be a piece of shit the next morning. And she stops me like right by the bathrooms. And she launches into what a piece of shit my brother is. Like she's just carrying a grudge. She's come to India for that very reason. And, when like you have a woman who's wronged and she carries a grudge, you don't fucking bring her to the fucking wedding, right? You don't bring her to your audience, whatever's left of them. And she's got a fucking hammer. She's got an atomic bomb. And you guys got water pistols. And you're going up against the nature of your audience, which is people who are into conspiracy theories, into, questioning the government, and they're never believing an official story. And you're trying to convince them that this little furry loving dude who, nobody buys this fucking shit but you. Nobody's buying it. It's a fucked up story, and it's, it's causing massive revolt in the Republican ranks. And it's the majority of people. And you guys are trying to force them to believe something they're never going to believe. And you've already lost your audience. They're not loyal to you. They don't think you represent Charlie. So, and even if they're not, whatever they are in terms of their beliefs here, you guys look like the fucking bad guys. There's, you are part of the, not just, you're part of the stuff to cover up JFK's murder or 9/11 or any of these things that people believe in. All these things that your audience has questions about. And you're a part of the group saying, oh, you guys are crazy. You guys are nuts. Why do you guys believe us fucking, liars and, whatever it is. And when it comes out that the guy who hired all you guys, Tyler Boyer, is fucking gay, because you put that up on a fucking tee for Candace and the rest of these fucking people. And when it comes out, you're going to out this guy, well, we'll get back to that, right?
Our motivation for doing this is not out of any obligation to Candace. It is about honoring Charlie. We feel a deep responsibility to protect his legacy.
Okay, you guys could have not done this, right? You guys had a choice not to do this. Like right at the end, you're trying to make a fucking point, and you're already trying to shill for your other fucking shitty videos that nobody wants to deal with, right? And so this one here is about the leaked text messages. And you don't know how bad you failed in that video. Like, I watched this video. These were leaked text messages that Candace got a hold of because people in your organization they're feeding her information. There's people who are disloyal to you guys who don't think that you guys are doing right by Charlie, who work at TPUSGay, and they fed her this information. And then your explanation for it sucked, and people hammered you in the comment section. Instead of taking that as like, oh my God, we've lost our audience, address the fact that you're getting no views. Address to your audience and say, why are you guys not watching our videos anymore? And then just go to the comment section and take the fucking beating that they're going to fucking serve to you. Thank you, sir. May I have another? I'm going to do that meme at the end of this.
And the truth. I feel that. I owe Charlie everything in my life.
What about God? Do you owe God any of it?
I feel it immensely. And that is why we feel compelled to speak clearly and openly now. We'll have more on this in the near future.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
We now consecrate the bond of obedience. Assume the position.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? Thank you, sir. May I have another? Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Okay, so she's fucking glowing, right? Like, she wants to be the center of everything, and they've made her the center of everything, right? Like, they've made her the center of TPUSGay. Not Erica, right? This fucking debate thing is going to get more views than they've had in forever. She's going to fucking hand them their fucking asses, and she's going to be walking around fucking celebrating Princess Candace, right? Like, she's worked it so she's become the center of this whole thing. Like, so, I mean, these guys, they suck so bad, but here's the...
Later on in the show, what I have for you is The Game, whose rapper is releasing a song that is entitled The Assassination of Candace Owens.
Me, Candace Owens, the princess. Yeah, the Princess Candace Owens. It's about me. The Game. Making a video. Trying to sponge off my audience.
And I have more questions.
The Game is a rapper who got called out by some battle rapper. And, I guess he, was trying to create some kind of a beef with Eminem because his career sucks. And in the call out video, this guy, I forget his name. He's dead now. He's a Canadian guy. I covered this, back a while ago. He got stabbed in a bar, but he put out this, like a hit on like one of these fucking rap beefs with this guy, The Game, and The Game apparently with other rappers who like they start running out of money because they had like one big kind of thing going on. And they would say that they are, they would have other rappers, like guys people who wanted to make it in the rap world, and they would pretend to tutor them. And they would say that they're going to include their tracks on some kind of a, something that they're doing that no one's going to listen to. And they charge the people like $5,000. It's like a scam, and they would find ways to take money from these up-and-coming rappers, these wannabes. And so, this is how bad this thing's gotten, right? Where The Game is trying to get in on it, trying to revive his career. This is like what these Tom McDonald and these people are doing, trying to, make a name for themselves as being truthers or whatever it is, because they see that there's a vibrant audience. Like, this is where all these vultures have come in on something that used to be grassroots and organic. And now it's just populated by all these people that opportunists that are trying to take advantage of, people who have been a fringe group for so long and are no longer fringe.
I've got questions. Am I allowed to have questions? Welcome back to Candace.
Okay, let's go to this thing here.
What can I say other than we went max? Pause, reflect. I'm proud of everybody. I'm proud of the world. Every single person who was in my inbox giving me tips, the people inside of Turning Point USA who were leaking, the donors that wrote public letters, the donors that didn't write public letters but sent us messages encouraging us to keep going. Today feels like a win because guess what? It forced Turning Point USA to finally respond, and that was the entire point, okay? That has been the point of refusing to let up even 1 second in this investigation. They wanted to simply be able to eulogize Charlie Kirk at a big memorial event, and then they wanted us to simply move on. And we didn't do that, okay? So, yeah, we should celebrate the fact that we kept up the pressure, that we insisted that we have answers, that even in this tremendous culture of ADHD and everyone's constantly being distracted by their iPhones, that we kept the focus, okay? Turning Point is going to commit to a live streamed event where they are apparently going to answer all of these lingering questions. And I would say these were pretty basic questions right out of the gate. Why they didn't do that right out of the gate, nobody knows. We can hear them.
They should have dealt with this head on, but they don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? And so what they have is Charlie Kirk's old show, right? Like, Candace's show was already doing better than theirs because people are more interested in what she was saying. Charlie Kirk was losing his audience. You know, when I scrolled back through his videos, you could see that there was, you know, he was getting less and less views. And that's why he was changing his opinion on Israel. Like, he realized everyone saw him, started seeing him as a shill, a shekel taker. And, you know, the right-wing young youth was going anti-Israel. And they had guys on there already on their show, and they were still trying to fucking tell them they were wrong. And even though Charlie was going, you know, he realized that you had to go with the tide, right? These are pandering people. Like, these people pander. These aren't people who have the truth and tell you the truth, regardless of how it affects their view count, right? They want numbers. These people love having numbers. They want influence. They want to be a part of the show. They want to see it at the table. These aren't, you know, random people, you know, people like me who just, you know, are out there just, you know, saying what we believe. And we're going to stick with that, right? We're going to, I mean, evolve as people, but we're going to stick with telling the truth, right? The way that we see it. And, you know, let the chips fall where they may, but we're not, you know, we don't have huge amounts of overhead. We don't have, you know, employees. We don't have the need for, you know, being a part of the show, having a seat at the table. In fact, and most of us who see the what I call the show, and see what these people are like who have a seat at the table, we want the opposite of it, right? You know, we don't want to be part of the beast, like Candace and Charlie Kirk and Tucker and these people, because the beast eats you alive, right? They compromise you. You have to make a deal with the devil to be really popular, and for what, right? Like, for what? That you got a bunch of dumb fucks that watch you? That you manipulate dumb fucks? Because that's what it comes down to. If you want a big audience, it's about manipulating and pandering to dumb fucks. You know, this is a battle over who gets to have the biggest dumb fuck audience. And right now, that's Candace, far and away, and TPUSGay has nothing. Because all they have is Charlie's channel. All they have is his organization. But they don't have the, you know, what made people interested in it. And the money's going to go when the popularity is, when they no longer have influence, right? The money is, you know, there's going to dry up, and then they just got to, I mean, that they're going to have to fire everybody. There's going to be like 3 people working there. Like, and even those people are going to have to take on fucking side jobs, right? Like, they can't support themselves on what's left of, you know, what's left of the audience.
Explanation for why they didn't in just a moment, because they sent Blake Neff out. Blake Neff, by the way, is the producer of the Charlie Kirk Show. Now he is kind of the rotating talent of the Charlie Kirk Show. He was already featured with Charlie on the show, so that's not unusual.
Okay, so I had speculated, because I didn't go back and watch these older videos, and I thought this guy Andrew Colvett was sometimes on the show, and he took over the main job, and Blake Neff is his primary sidekick. And then they invite other people in from TPUSGay, sometimes Mikey McCoy, sometimes Tyler Boyer, sometimes these other people. And all of them suck. You know, they can say the things that right-wing people say, but they're not believable. And they should have known this. Like, it's, you know, Howard Stern has a bunch of people that he has a show with. And none of them could take over his job. And not that I like Howard Stern, but, you know, like, there's a difference between Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon. Like, if you guys know these old school, you know, to the Tonight Show, some of these things, the sidekick, right? These guys are all sidekicks. They could never carry their own show. Like, they're not, no one would watch them on their own. And whatever Charlie did and whatever, you know, Israel did to make Charlie popular, you know, his shekels, whatever the shekels he took to make himself popular, to make him popular, you know, he could carry an audience, right? Like, you got to know the difference between being a sidekick, like Kamala Harris was like you know, she wasn't put in there because people liked her. She was put in there so people wouldn't try to impeach Joe Biden, knowing the Democrats knowing that they were stuck with Kamala. Like, nobody wants Kamala, right? Like, Kamala doesn't even want Kamala, like her husband. And so you got to know, like, who you are and who people see you as, right? And so when they took over the show, immediately, you know, I mean, most of it's about embracing the official story, but a lot of it was that they don't have what it takes to win an audience. Nobody is going to tune in to see Blake Neff. If Blake Neff had started a YouTube channel, it would have 100 subscribers maybe, and most of them would be his family and gay lovers. Right? Same thing with all these other guys. They can't carry an audience. Candace Owens can. She's good at this. She's good at being the center of attention. She loves it. And she's smarter than they are, and she knows how to work her audience better than they do. And so they don't know how fucked they are because, you know, Candace Owens has star power. It has the #1 fucking podcast, and she shares an audience with you guys. Whether you want to admit it or not, these are the same people that like Charlie Kirk. Most of them, I mean, it's probably all of them. So they were fans of TPUSGay, and now they're not, and they still are fans of Candace. And so what do you think's going to happen when you guys come together and you guys get into a shit fight? When she's like a pit bull and you guys are twinks, right? What do you think's going to fucking happen?
But I think we probably anticipated that Andrew Colvett, who is the TPUSA spokesperson, would have been the person to deliver this message. Maybe in theory, that should have been his job. Maybe he's traveling. The point is, we got Blake Neff, and I want to say, just to reiterate, that I have always maintained that whatever is going on at Turning Point USA, I have not felt that Blake Neff is one of the bad guys, okay? I just have never gotten that particular vibe from him. I believe that when he speaks, he believes that he is telling the truth. And maybe that's
so she gets into that. So let's get to some of the responses here. So this is the one I saw last night, right? I saw this popped up on my phone as a short video. It wasn't from Candace. It was somebody who clipped it. And I'm extending it a little bit here. But as soon as I saw this, I'm like, oh my God, they're so fucked. Like I watched his thing and I was just ready to move on and do my, you know, my day was over. My work day was over. Her video came in. I saw the very beginning of it where I wanted to see what she was going to say. And of course I knew she was going to say, oh my God, you guys are inviting me on? Fuck yeah, I'm going. You guys, you know, like she's been setting this up. And again, they might be working together. Who knows? Who fucking knows, right? Like you know, you're never going to find that out, or you'll be able to kind of tell if they're working together. But if they are really truly in an adversarial situation, and they are in a shit fight, they are going to get fucking slammed, right? And she's been waiting for this she's been baiting them for 3 months, and the longer they wait, the more the ass kicking was going to be, and so.
But a week from now, it's going to be 3 months since Charlie's murder. Candace has not changed her behavior. She has continued to spread falsehoods about Charlie's friends, and she continues to concoct new ones about new people. She's using these falsehoods to enrich herself while dividing the conservative movement at an absolutely critical time for this country.
I have to applaud that audacity. I have to applaud it. You do. You have to applaud it. These, excuse me here, but like, I'm trying not to swear.
Which word were you going to use? You use the C word? Were you going to call them cunts? What were you?
These men, okay, this company, these amazing lads over here have the audacity to accuse me of enriching myself when they were out there selling T-shirts, okay, of what Charlie died in to enrich themselves. Were they giving those T-shirts away for free at the Staples Centers? No, they were selling kit of what Charlie died in to the tune of $80 million plus that they made in the first 3 weeks, okay? They made their entire budget for the year in the first couple of weeks following Charlie's assassination. And they are attacking me with zero proof that I've made a single dollar off of Charlie's assassination. I did not sell a cup. I did not sell a mug, okay? All I did was do what I already do for a living, okay? I podcast and I investigate things. I investigate things that I feel passionate about. Sometimes it's Kamala's genealogy when she's saying she wants to be the president and things aren't making sense and I sense that she is lying. Sometimes it's Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds when they tried to destroy a man's life who's not even on my quote unquote political team. Sometimes it's Brigitte and why We are colluding with nations to cover the obvious fact that Brigitte was born a male. And this time, it's personal and it's you. Do you want to know what all of these investigations have in common? Liars who lie and think that the public is too stupid to see through their lies.
So this is when I knew, like, oh my God, you guys are so fucked. Because, and they, she's giving them advance notice of what she's going to come at them with. And they're still not going to be able to fucking do anything about it, right? It's like when you're playing, you see these teams that you know exactly what they're going to do. The juggernaut teams, the Oklahoma City Thunder right now in basketball. There really isn't a team like this in the NFL right now, but, teams that are by far the best team. And you know what they're going to do. They're not hiding anything. They don't have some secret fucking something up their sleeve. This is what Vince Lombardi did with the Green Bay Packers when they won the first 2 Super Bowls. They ran, what is sort of a convention, sort of a play that still exists, but they ran this sweep, where they pitched the ball to the running back and all their offensive linemen would get out there and block, and they couldn't be stopped. They just would do it. And you see this all the time with great fucking teams where you know exactly what they're going to do and you can't do anything to stop it, right? And so, they're bringing a fucking, a pink puff to a cannon fight, to a fucking nuclear bomb fight, right? She's a pit bull. She's definitely better at debating and being, and she wants this. And so you are going to accuse her of profiteering off of this Charlie's death. And she's gotten some clicks, and this has bolstered her. But what she really likes is attention, which she has gotten. And you really can't fucking prove that, right? I mean, you could, your audience isn't going to give a shit about whether she likes attention or not when you're covering up Charlie's death and you're trying to force feed the official story down their conspiracy theorist fucking right-wing QAnon throats. They're not going to fucking buy that shit, right? And so when you get up there and say, hey, you're profiteering, and she says you guys sold fucking merch, and underneath there's a banner underneath the memorial for you to click on and donate, and you were fucking asking for donations for, this woman who's, the richest single mom in America, right? Who's inherited a company that's got hundreds of millions of dollars of assets, and she's getting $2.5 million in GoFundMe shit, and that you're going to say that they're fucking profiting, she's profiting, when you guys are running a grift on Charlie being a martyr, right? And so it's fucking, you're done. You're so fucking screwed.
That is how we got into this, okay? I did not sell anything. You did that. You guys did that. You guys continued to do that. You guys wanted to just move on and to grift off of Charlie's legacy.
This is what I was talking about. You want to create a straw man. She has created you guys as a straw man, right? As a company, as individuals. And she's got behaviors that, again, she's an attention seeker. And she's got her own bullshit things. Those bullshit things aren't going to come up because you guys aren't going to attack her personal shit because you haven't done that with her the whole fucking time. And so she has a huge audience and you guys have nothing. And you're going to come out with shit like this? Like, all she has to do is create some doubt in your credibility, which you guys have already done. And so, like, you think that you're going to explain all of these things that she's saying and people are going to believe it? They're already prejudiced against you, right? It's like, have you not spoken to liberals? Like, go speak to liberals and try to convince them of your worldview. Go speak to people who aren't, Charlie Kirk people, who aren't right-wing conservatives, and try to convince them. You have relatives, you have people in your life, and these people are passionate and believe you're covering up Charlie Kirk's death and you're hijacking his fucking movement, and they're convinced of it, and you guys are just going to mansplain it to them, and they're going to go, oh, you guys are right. Candace is screwy. Like, she can look crazy as fuck on your thing, and she's just got to prove some of it's right, and then it's all going to be right. Like, it's going to, you don't even understand how this works. This is about perception. and you're already down. You're already 40 points down before this thing even started. You're already in a hole, and you got a couple of fucking beta males sharing a testicle. Who are you going to roll out there? Who are you going to roll out to debate this fucking pit bull, this fucking jilted fucking girlfriend who you've invited to the wedding, who's got a long laundry list of how you suck, and most of it she's convinced people of it already? Who are you going to roll out there to fucking turn this thing around? You're going to bring Charlie back in holograph form, right? Is Charlie going to be resurrected from the dead? And you think he's going to go along with your bullshit, right? You know you Judased him, right? You Judased the fucking guy one way or another. Certainly his wife did. And so...
I dedicated myself to figuring out who murdered him. So, anyways.
Okay, so she addresses here the Tyler Boyer hooking up with interns.
Streamed. Regarding Tyler Boyer, I'm so glad we're going to do this live streamed because I'm happy to present to you the exact name of the intern. And I didn't say that he abused him. I didn't say it was not consensual. I said that he likes younger boys. I don't mean like younger as in they're not of the legal age. I'm just saying they're a lot younger than him. And yeah, I can give you the exact name of the intern that he hooked up with. That person was not at Turning Point USA. But I can also give you more than that, as well as people that are currently working for Turning Point USA who said that Tyler Boyer, and these are young men, tried to hook up with them after.
Holy shit. So that's all you need right there. And that's fucking I just can't wait for that. Like, if I'm excited about something, it's when he outs this fucking guy. Because remember, Tyler Boyer was second in charge to Charlie Kirk. So think about the kind of people who are Turning Point US gay people. You know, they are not pro-gay people. Many of them would be considered what's homophobic. I don't like that term because they're not, it's not a phobia. They're prejudiced against gay people. And Christians are, and there's all the biblical, you know how this is. You guys know. I don't have to explain this to you. And so when they find out this guy who was holding a baby with Erica Kirk, so is he openly gay? And again, if the guy's openly gay, why is he second in command at Charlie Kirk's, company? Like, shouldn't that be like what the fuck? Right? Like, you wouldn't put, like, if you were running an LBGTQ organization, if you were running some sort of, organization like a Turning Point for gay people, you wouldn't have the guy, the second in command, be some heterosexual who's anti-gay, who's, whatever it is, a right-wing person, a Trump voter. Would you put a Trump right-wing conservative Christian heterosexual in second in command of some organization that's before gays or liberals or something? Like, it makes no sense. And then you'd have that guy be responsible for introducing Charlie Kirk to his wife and also hiring all these guys who seem pretty fucking gay, that seem to be either gay or closeted gay. You can make a lot of money by creating a website, like a hookup site or an app for Christian guys who are gay, right? For Christian guys who say they're not gay but actually are gay. And you could make a lot of money having some app, some app that was discretion, had a lot of discretion, so that they could go out and cheat on their beard wives with the gay boys that they really like, right? And so this thing is like pay dirt. If she brings in names and people, and they have to basically admit that Tyler Boyer is fucking gay, and he's, that's everything. Like that, the organization implodes at that point, right? And what are they? I mean, they have all these conservative people they're trying to win over, and they're out there talking about how they don't want men and women's sports, and they've been talked about being transphobic and homophobic, and Charlie Kirk was prejudiced against gay people, and all the things he said, and then you have this guy who's hooking up with young boys, or whining them, flirting with them, sexually harassing them on, that. And that guy, I've shown this guy in the interview, Tyler Boyer. When this first came out, I was like, holy shit, this is where TPUSGay came from. And if this gets addressed, which God, I mean, it has to. Like, they have to. She's got to at least bring it in there. And so, if you're going to make this about that guy and she's got fucking receipts showing that the guy's gay, and you guys have to either, not address it or basically admit the guy's gay, but he's not a pedo. Like, if your thing is, hey, he's not a pedo, but he's banging barely legal interns or flirting with them and sexually harassing them. And again, the guy who's the CEO is over there flirting with male interns. Imagine if the CEO of the company was flirting with, this is Monica Lewinsky stuff, but with gay dudes. So, I mean, this is everything. Like,
Some events. So I'm glad we're going to live stream that. Keep going.
She is
You're going to live stream that? I hope for God you do. Like, if you don't, I'm going to be disappointed. Because this is TPUSGay, which is like, I mean, I should start selling T-shirts. Except I got my merch company screwed me. So, brutal. So Candace was very calm in the beginning. And then you can see she's getting more and more agitated. But, everything that they're saying here, she has a more reasonable explanation than the way they're presenting it. And so, if you're going to come at people and try to convince them that the person you're up against is crazy, that's what they're trying to do. That's been the big stuff. And, she's not crazy. She's manipulative, right? Which is a big difference. Alex Jones will give you crazy. Like, he'll give you rants and act crazy. She's good at convincing her audience of outlandish things because she's able to gain their trust over simple things that are true. And so she's able to gain credibility, and she's the only game in town because all these other people aren't. Megyn Kelly isn't doing this, Tucker Carlson isn't doing this. There's nobody else doing this, and all these people are looking for answers. You have all these people who don't believe in the official story, and they're getting more and more passionate about it. And everybody else is just like, oh, let's just move on. So, like, you got Candace or you got nothing, right? And then there's all these people who are, subsidiaries of her, her stuff here, her grift or whatever it is. And again, she doesn't have to be a real truther. She just has to acknowledge what people are saying. The same thing happened with Trump, right? There's all these people who don't believe in the official story. Trump's definitely not a truther. He's definitely elitist. But he was willing to pretend he agreed with them. Or at least restate what their points of view were. And pander to them a little bit. And so, when you're in that situation, you're fucked. Like, when you're, like, they're on the side of the feds and the mainstream media and the official story. And they're trying to convince people of something that they're never going to believe in. They're never going to believe in the official story. And so, here, let's get to it.
The attacks and allegations from Candace are either lies or they are innuendos thrown around with a total, reckless disregard for the truth so that Candace can manipulate and string along an audience of people who don't realize they are being played. Instead of being able to grieve properly after one of the most heinous murders in American history, a murder many of us had to witness, my friends have had to endure harassment from people who have gotten whipped up by what Candace is saying. In fact, I would say we have suffered more harassment from these people than we have from Antifa supporters who overtly celebrate.
Look at her here. Like, this is what they know, when she's like, oh my God, they're just putting the shit out of teeth for me.
Charlie's murder. And just like a lot of those Antifa members, many of these people take this delight in how gross and unpleasant they can be. What our friends have had to endure is not funny, and it's not insignificant. It is evil. I have seen it.
Okay, conflating people that are trying to figure out who murdered Charlie Kirk with like Antifa is actually objectively funny. That's an unforced error. They should not have included that in the statement. Somebody in that room was like, should we say that? Should we not? And somebody said, no, we shouldn't say that. And then somebody else in the room said, no, we should, let's keep it in. That second person was wrong. That should have been struck from the statement. It's very silly, okay? It's very silly to attack your own audiences who are concerned and your own donors who are concerned and say, you're Antifa if you don't accept this absurd Fed slop. If you're not going to drink the Fed slop, then you are Antifa. Just not a good...
No, they said you're worse than Antifa. Like the people who are celebrating Charlie's murder, who are openly having parties, and, you know, that obese kindergarten teacher who's pointing a gun at her neck and shooting it, pretending to shoot a bullet into her neck as to mock Charlie Kirk and right-wing people driving by. Those people who hate Charlie Kirk and celebrating, you guys are actually worse than them. That you guys are your audience is worse than Antifa. Like, it's just a fucking, brain dead thing to say, which I already talked about.
Good idea whatsoever, okay? That is not what's happening here. You are not the victim. Charlie is, actually. He's dead. And to protect...
You know what I'm saying here is what, she realizes, I'm sure, when they fucking don't, is that she doesn't have to move millions of people that are buying into her bullshit. And some of it's true. Like, it's not all bullshit, but they already believe, which, God knows what the truth is. Like, only God would know the truth in these circumstances, because there's so many layers of lies and deception. Like, people don't believe Charlie's really dead. People believe he was a hologram. People, these are the things. They're out there. And they're, all of them are, have some credibility. They could be true, or some variation of it could be true, right? And so, she doesn't have to move any of those people, because they are already with her, and they all agree. Like, when you're going up against sheeple, then you have to move those sheeple. You have to convince them. And how do you do that? Like, how do you convince a sheeple to take a look at your evidence, to even give you a patient hearing? How do you convince a sheeple to come have a conversation and have an open mind? How do you convince a liberal when you're a conservative, or how do you convince a conservative when you're a liberal to have an open mind? How do you sit down with your family at Thanksgiving and talk about these things and have a chance of persuading them against their beliefs, right? Like, I don't have to worry about any of that shit, because I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. I don't care. There's plenty of places for you. The things I want to talk about, the stuff about divinity within you being the solution, is not debatable. Like, I'm not wavering on that shit and all the things that go with it, right? And I don't have to pander to people, because I can speak truthfully, and there are going to be some people who rise up to it, right? But, like, if you're trying to win people over, which a debate is, and you're trying to reclaim your audience, you got to move this giant fucking boulder, this mountain of, years and years of people being shit on by the official story, and told that the people pitching the official story and being told you're crazy conspiracy theorists. And, you guys are on that side, and you have to move all those people. And you think you guys are equipped to do that? Nobody likes you. And if it comes out early on that the guy who hired you has been flirting with male interns, because he's gay and he's the guy in charge of this whole thing, like, how is that going to help you convince these people that they're full of shit, and that the official story should be believed, and that they're worse than Antifa? Like, you're talking about your fucking audience, you morons. These are the people that have supported your Charlie Kirk and your organization for years, and they're all against you. You don't fucking have an audience anymore. You have a handful of people. You had 2,000 people that watch your videos, and even most of those are leaving shitty comments. You have no audience at all, really. So she has a monster audience that already believes what she believes. And so she has, like I said, a much bigger dick than you do.
And like, you are too aggrieved to be able to answer the questions makes entirely no sense. Obviously, if you were actually under a real amount of stress, if you actually were deeply upset that people had you on a list of suspects or thought that you were suspicious, you would just clarify things instantly, immediately. It's so easy. It's free. If someone said, Candace, what were you doing when Charlie Kirk was shot? I'd be like, I was sitting down at my table prepping my show. Like, the question doesn't offend me because I had nothing to do with Charlie dying, okay? This is a psychological technique that is failing. It is failing for you. And you're upset because you thought that with time, with the passage of time, people would let the story go, and they didn't. And these reasons that he's about to list for why they didn't respond and answer any questions are beyond ridiculous. Let's take a listen.
For months, we have received hundreds, thousands, I suspect, emails and calls
Good.
asking us to respond.
Yeah.
People have wanted us to invite Candace on the show. But for a long time, our approach was to say nothing. We did that for several reasons.
Okay, this is where you would admit failure. And you'd admit we have no views. We've lost our audience. You know, and so they have an audience that's not based in truth. Charlie Kirk was a shackled up lying motherfucker, and Donald Trump's a piece of shit, and they are promoting this, and Candace Owens as well, right? They're all fucking complicit. Candace Owens was shekel taken. She was, you know, she was sponging off of Charlie Kirk's shekels, you know, all that stuff that was happening. She was a part of this. She was gaining popularity for some of these things. She was, you know, she was gaining some of his audience. They came up together, and she was pitching Donald Trump as a solution. She's admitted that in a recent video, her last video. She admitted that, you know, now she knows that none of these things that they believed were true, and they couldn't make America great again. You know, she's, again, doing it in a way where she's aggrandizing herself, right? Like, there are people that are way ahead of you. All of us who knew this shit without having to go through what you guys went through, which was totally unnecessary, and pushing for a Trump presidency when the guy's obviously a piece of shit, right? Like, why didn't you see it? Well, you know, it wasn't financially beneficial for you to see it. You guys needed an audience. You wanted a big audience. And so you went with a, you know, a political candidate who you all had to know was a piece of shit. And now you've lied to your audience, right? Because you wanted to be famous. You wanted to be the princess, Candace Owens, and Charlie Kirk wanted to be Charlie Kirk. So you guys have all been lying to your audience, the right-wing audience. You've all been pretending that the right wing's somehow different than the left wing, and all these, you know, ways that you're misrepresenting reality. And then you all claiming that God is somehow endorsing you. Now you're both battling over who's Charlie Kirk's true friend, right? But Candace is, you know, she's got these people who are, she's with them in their beliefs that this fucking thing has been faked, right? This is the official story is bullshit, right? And so you guys should admit you fucked up. Like, you've lost your audience. No one believes in you. And that, you know, you don't know how to connect with people. But instead, what are you going to invite this fucking pit bull onto your show? And she's going to slap you around with her big giant fucking dick that you guys are going to be like, stop it. No, stop it. No, Steve, please, no. Like, fucking, are you looking for an ass kicking? Right? What's happening, Blake?
First, we thought that her prevarications were so absurd that nobody would believe them. We shouldn't have to answer questions about secret tunnels or Egyptian Air Force planes.
Okay, so that's your audience. You're telling your audience we're too stupid. You're now calling your audience fucking stupid because they're now Candace's audience. And they believe in these things, even if they don't believe in all of them. Nobody believes in your bullshit. And so you're saying we shouldn't have to answer questions about these crazy things because no one in their right mind would believe it. Well, your audience and Charlie Kirk's fans did believe it. They're asking for their donations back, right? Like, that's why some of this is coming out. They're finally like, oh my God, this has gotten so bad. It's so bad.
That sort of thing is just, it's beneath contempt to respond to. The second reason we've said so little, though, is because there's a good rule of thumb, which Charlie followed. Do not feed the trolls. Focus on the mission. Reviving America, uplifting young people, making heaven crowded. Don't give...
That making heaven crowded is so fucking stupid. Like, why do you guys think you're going to heaven? I mean, all Christians, why do you think you're going... Be honest, why do you think you're going to heaven? Like, you know, I mean, you would know if you were going. Like, not just some bullshit, crazy thing you convince yourself of. You'd experience heaven, and it'd be a feeling. It wouldn't be some, well, like, you know, this thing said that if you do this, you go to heaven. But why would you guys think you're going there? Like, you guys know you're grifting.
Air to people who want to tear you down and sow discord. Lastly, we didn't respond because Charlie always viewed Candace as a friend, and we were holding out hope that she would return that friendship and stop what she was doing.
Okay, so the first thing he says there is we didn't respond because it's beneath us. Like, that's just not the right attitude. I mean, that is an elitist attitude. It is beneath us to respond to the very people who showed up in scores because they were so moved by Charlie's assassination that they all poured into the Staples Center, right? And poured their tears out and made videos and donated. It is beneath us to not to then respond to questions that you have that are meaningful, because we just think it's so stupid that you would suggest that the feds are involved in an assassination. That's never happened in American history. What? So that's a ridiculous thing. The second thing he says there is Charlie always said...
they've never known their audience. That's the thing. They've never known their audience because they weren't like, as soon as Charlie died, they took this thing in a totally different direction. And they thought people would go with them. Or they're just fucking money laundering, or they were told, I don't know what the motivation is. But people should know when they suck, right? There's a long time ago when I used to respond to my commenters, people commenting here. Like I said, I've had 1.7 million comments and probably many more of deleted videos and whatever. So millions of comments. And then I don't know how many messages, maybe hundreds of thousands of messages. And so when I first started, I could respond to people. And there's a young woman, and she wrote to me, I don't know if it was a comment or a message, saying she wanted me to give her a shout out on her channel, which I don't do because, whatever. And she sent me her channel. And I looked at her video, like she had 1 or 2 videos up. And the first video, she's like, I know this video isn't very good, and I know I'm not a very good singer. And she then started to butcher some fucking song with a guitar she couldn't play. And I'm like, why the fuck would you want me to tell people about your channel? Do you know how savage the fucking internet is? You should be grateful every day that people don't find it. This person obviously had self-esteem issues. But what do you think that people should just watch your videos because you're you? And you want them to? Like, you got to say things or do things that make people compelled to watch your videos. You have to have something to offer them. You have to have a talent. You have to have an ability. You have to make your videos viewable. You should know when you suck, right? You should know when, it's like those people go on American Idol and they can't sing and they think they're great singers. And that's how these guys at Turning Point are. They don't know that they suck, right? Like, you didn't think that they were watching the show because of you when you were Charlie's sidekick, or that like Charlie didn't have some connection with his audience, a connection he was losing because he was already hemorrhaging viewers over the last months before he was killed, and the whole thing with Israel. And people were, part of you guys losing viewers is that Trump is now being seen as a piece of shit. Trump's losing support, and his Epstein stuff, and so the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing. And so you guys are just living in the past without a star, without anybody who is compelling. And even if you still had Charlie, you were going to experience some issues because he kind of had already jumped the shark when, after he was an Israeli, Zionist lobbyist, you had to reverse his position, and that created financially devastating implications, right? So you guys were already fucked. Turning Point had already jumped the shark, right?
Don't feed the trolls. Well, that flies into the face of what he says thereafter, where he says Candace and Charlie were friends. So I'm not a troll, okay? I'm not a troll. I'm not trolling. I'm not someone who's hated Turning Point and wanted Turning Point to fail. I'm actually the exact opposite of that. And that's why the people believe in me and they trust me, because they feel that I'm the only one that's acting right in this situation. Who wouldn't want to have every stone unturned if they cared about somebody? Who wouldn't want to have every question answered? Who wouldn't be immediately suspicious to see Egyptian military jets? Who wouldn't go, why the hell were these jets around Turning Point way before, years before Charlie's assassination. Who is on these jets? Instead, you're mentioning the Egyptian planes for the fourth time. So I would like to recommit everybody that is watching this to figuring out what the hell is going on with these Egyptian planes, because they're nervous about them, okay? They're mentioned so many times. They're just trying to give the vibe that this is so crazy. No, they are fearful. The Egyptian planes hold the key, and that is obvious even in Blake Neff's statement. But yeah, I am not a troll, okay? And people followed what felt to them as authenticity. And it was...
She is not authentic anymore. Like, whatever's happening in her recent videos. People said she did a good job. I saw a little bit of the video where she was crying. And she's more authentic than Erica Kirk. And the fact that she's saying that the official story is bullshit, she becomes authentic, right? But the problem that they have is the truth about Candace Owens being attention-seeking, whatever she's doing that isn't, I'm just trying to figure out what happened to my friend's death. Or whatever drives her to look at under Brigitte Macron's fucking pantaloons. Whatever drives her to consistently investigate these things and make salacious claims, whatever she's doing here, that she gets rewarded by her audience, whatever this thing that she does, the persona she's created. People have a motivation, and you have to figure out people's motivation. And her motivation is not nearly as bad as betraying Charlie Kirk and being complicit in his murder. And so that's what she's saying about you. What you're saying about her is she's making up shit to get clicks and likes. And, to some extent that's true, but that's not as bad as what she's accusing you of. And she's got much more evidence supporting, the clicks and likes thing. She can just say what she said. I'm just doing what I always do. Right? This is what I do. I say Brigitte Macron's got a dick, right? This is my thing. And so she's not changed. You guys have, or Charlie Show has. And so, I don't know what they're thinking about. Are they this oblivious? That's the question. How oblivious are you? Why are you walking into this thing with nothing? Right? The most you can do to demonize her is saying that she's an opportunist when you sold millions of dollars of hats. So what the fuck? What do you think is going to happen here, right?
Not you. They were not getting that from Charlie's closest friends. Why is that? They weren't getting that from Charlie's most loved pastors. Why is that? Don't blame me for the bad energy that you exuded, okay? Don't blame me for the fact that you didn't pass the gut check with the public. That's why you're doing this, okay? That is why you are doing this, because your strategy failed. In fact, this is your old school turning point before they put on the faith pants. This is your old school turning point lesson in what the free markets are. The free markets saw what you were offering, right? And they saw what I was offering. You were offering, we should accept this and move on. And I was saying, we need to investigate this. And the free markets said no to Turning Point USA. Anyways, let him take this away in terms of what he thought, I guess, was the best way to be a friend to Charlie Kirk. What did he think was the best way for them?
This is where she's just getting pissed. And, it's getting fucking bad, right? This is bad. People are watching this. They're not watching Blake Neff. He's got 176,000 views. And a lot of those people are people who watched this with Candace and then went over to comment on their video. The people who are commenting just on the title. Where she's getting, this video's got at least, I bet it's probably going to get 4 million views. And so when they hear Blake Neff's straw man argument about Candace is immediately responding to it. And, again, he's not saying the thing that I know to be true, that Candace Owens loves attention and that she does things to get attention. She feeds her. She wants to be the belle of the ball. She wants to be the princess. She wants to be the center of attention. And that sucks. And that's a bad thing. But again, it's not fucking making money or Judasing a guy that all these people think is some sort of a saint, right? This is, you guys are Judases. She's somebody who say, hey, everybody look at me, right? That's not nearly as bad. The most that could ever happen is people realize she likes attention And that's not so bad for her. But the worst thing that happened for you guys is you're seen as being complicit in Charlie Kirk's murder. And if it's just one or two of you guys, it's the whole fucking company. It's Erica too, and she has to be involved. So, like, that's where this is headed. Like, there's nowhere else to go, right? Because no one's buying the official story. So that's the only alternative.
To show that they were friends with Charlie Kirk. Keep going, Blake.
But a week from now, it's going to be 3 months since Charlie's murder. Candace has not changed her behavior. She has continued to spread falsehoods about Charlie's friends, and she continues to concoct new ones about new people. She's using these falsehoods to enrich herself while dividing the conservative movement at an absolutely critical time for this country.
I have to applaud that audacity. I have to applaud it. You do. You have to applaud it. These, excuse me here, but...
Okay, so we already saw this part here. This part where she, where he said you're dividing the conservative movement. They're not divided. You guys have no audience. They've already voted. If this was an election, she'd get 90% of your audience, and that you'd get 10, right? So you have the original fucking Charlie Kirk show, and so this is not divided. Anyways, let's go to the end part here. So this is the very end stuff here.
And far too often, we here have heard from ordinary people, people who loved Charlie and who Charlie loved so much in return. These people have expressed the worry that we are staying silent out of cowardice or as some sort of...
You get the idea. We've heard this before. And so here.
Our motivation for doing this is not out of any obligation to Candace. It is about honoring Charlie. We feel a deep responsibility to protect his legacy, his work, and the truth. I feel that. I owe Charlie everything in my life. I feel it immensely. And that is why we feel compelled to speak clearly and openly now. We'll have more on this in the near future.
Yay! Finally, you didn't have to get through all that shade that you were throwing me to get to the point that you were willing to answer questions, okay? Because that's what Charlie did for a living. How could you guys think that you were just going to continue on and pretend like people asking meaningful questions was somehow an attack? That's what he did for a living. He stood up on college campuses and he debated people. And he sat there principally and debated people because he felt that he had the moral high ground, okay? And that if those people disagreed with him, he could bring them over to his side. You guys...
All right, so you get the idea. We don't need to listen to this shit. There's a big difference in what she's talking about. And he never had the moral high ground because he was taking shekels. Like his dumb college kids he's debating aren't going to say, hey, you've taken shekels. And maybe they did, and I've never seen a video of that. I haven't seen very many of the Charlie Kirk debate videos, but it wasn't going to be one they featured on the show, right? And so, if they started calling him Charlie Shekels, like if I knew this guy was out there and I had the, information, back when he was doing this, and YouTube would allow people to say things like Charlie Shekels, which back then they didn't, this could have been something different if some kid watched my video or somebody's video and called him Charlie Shekels, because that's a great name and it's true, then he wouldn't have the moral high ground. But the problem is Candace Owen knows their grift, right? You have Erica Kirk that fucking the majority of people know. I mean, people don't like her. And so she's not their star. And, the star of the show is now Candace, which she loves. And that's, you can say that's horrible, which it is, and it's fucking hard for me to see, and I'm just tired of it. I'm over the whole thing. But now, she's going in there, and they have, if not blood on their hands, they are willing to fucking, they're the doubters. They're the doubting Thomas and the Peter who denied her. If they're not denied Jesus, if they're not Judas, they're at least the other guys. But some of them are Judases, and certainly his wife was a Judas. Like, they had to get her. She had to be on board for this thing to work, right? To whatever happened here, right? Like, maybe they all know that he's not dead. Maybe Candace and they all know he's not dead. But in this fucking public opinion where they're not telling you that, she's going to win this thing because they already, the public opinion's already, people have already voted. You're not going to convince them that the official story is correct. And that's what you've put yourself in a position. The only way you could win this thing with Candace is you can convince all of her audience that the official story is correct, right? And we'll see how it plays out. I mean, it's going to be in the near future, and, it might fall apart. And someone will say, oh, like they have to negotiate her participation, right? Like, she's not just going to stand there like a cardboard figure. She's going to want to be participating. She has to have some way of demonstrating her audience, her evidence. So, there's going to be a negotiation here, the platform and how it's going to go down. But either way, if it does go down, that guy's sexuality is going to be brought up, right? Like, that guy's getting outed. The guy who's second in command at TPUSGay is going to be outed as a guy who was, wanting to bang male interns. Like, that's fucking bad, right? Like, where do you go from that? Like, how do you walk that back? The guy who wants to bang male interns, how do you convince people that they're full of shit with their conspiracy theories when you're covering up shit like that, right? And Charlie knew. Like, Charlie must have known the guy was gay. And so did Erica. And, they're not celebrating that. I mean, they're anti-gay people who are, who put a guy who in the most powerful position, who's one of Charlie's handlers, and he's in charge of hiring in the direction that TPUSGay was going to go. So, let's see. Hopefully it'll come out soon. It's not going to be some fucking weeks ahead. I mean, next week. Like, let's get something up by next week. Wrap this fucking thing up. Let's bring some resolution to this thing. Okay, today is Friday the 5th, I believe, of July. July 5th, is it? Yes, it is. I nailed it. Fucking nailed it. All right. There's been a development. I was going to edit this video yesterday, and I was like, well, I have till tomorrow night before this is ready to go live. So, which is today. So this will be up Friday night, 7, 8 o'clock. And there's been a kind of disappointing development in the Candace Owens TPUSGay debacle here.
All right, you guys, happy Thursday. Fun little update for you. When the clock struck midnight last night and Cinderella's carriage turned back into a pumpkin, Turning Point USA decided it was a good time to issue a confirmation plus an ultimatum, a time and a date for our debate. I should tell you that they did not send me an email. They did not send me a text message. They did not coordinate anything with me. They simply made this midnight announcement and gave it a countdown. Got 24 hours to respond. So we're going to discuss that. And let me just tell you, Turning Point is so done after this. You just cannot survive being disingenuous.
Okay, so let's go to the thing here. It's right here.
I feel like I have to ask this question on behalf of the entire world. What the hell is going on at Turning Point USA?
What is going on there, Candace? It seems like they're up to no fucking good. What's going on, Candace? I mean, I don't know. Tell us. What information do you have?
What's going on? I want to know what is happening over there in Arizona. Who is in charge exactly? Who is making the decisions? Who is calling the shots on all of these terrible and extremely obvious PR moves? I think we all deserve to at least know what's going on. It feels like this company is going to turn into Enron, right? Amazing, and then just plummet overnight.
Yeah, it's already happened. So, I mean, I like seeing things like this. Especially fake fucking bullshit, whatever they are. So I made a video clip about how she sucks as a truther yesterday, which you haven't seen yet. I'm gonna put this in before that, and I did a voiceover about that, and I answered some comments. So this video is ready to go. But this is I didn't see a way that they were going to have her on. And some of this could be on her as well. Like, I don't think, it would be really uncomfortable. And I don't know if she cares about that or not. But for her to go and sit on a set with 3 gay dudes that she's called some of them she might have called gay, right? Who are Christian right-wing, pretending to be heterosexual dudes who she's saying Judas Charlie Kirk and are complicit in his murder. And they're all angry at her over there. Like Neff had a big, twink pissy fit with his thing. And they're all mad at her over there. I mean, it'd be uncomfortable to go to that building with all those employees. And again, maybe she's comfortable doing it. But they can't have her on. Like, when they said the ball's in your court, I'm like, do you seriously want to have her on your show when you guys are clearly hiding things and you've lost your audience. The audience is already fucking turned on you. And you're not going to win them back with that fucking thing, with her going on there. I mean, I don't know what kind of debater she is, but she's got to be better than they are, right? Well, anyways, so, I was a little bit surprised that they said, you're welcome to come on our show and debate us about this. Like, they're not master debaters. Debaters. They're really bad hosts of a show that isn't theirs, right?
Just the lack of transparency, and also, ironically, the transparency of the things that they are doing. You can't make this up. They are just so obvious, so obviously trying to hide something. Before we get into their frankly bizarre late night tweet and ultimatum, I wanted to update you guys and let you know that Cam Higbee, remember that weird propagandist reporter who goes to the Pentagon press secretary and is like, don't laugh. Okay, right? Don't laugh. And then proceeds to ask if they heard about France's assassination attempt on my life, which I also said in...
So I responded to this because, I didn't respond, but I covered this yesterday. I didn't cover this little thing she's going to show you, but I talked, her reaction to this.
France was on the ground on the day that Charlie was assassinated. Yeah, this Cam Higbee, take a listen.
As well.
Yeah. So this is my first question, and don't laugh.
Okay, don't laugh. Do they have anybody with are men who have been born like after, I don't know what it is, 1990, just don't have testicles? Like, is that what's happened? Like, the majority of men born after 1990 are born with micro testicles? Like what's happened to the male population? Don't laugh.
Does the DOW have any evidence at all of a French military plot to assassinate Candace Owens?
That is an interesting question.
Okay, so this girl seems like she's in high school, and she is, I responded to yesterday, but I added a little thing that you haven't seen yet in the video. It's going to come up next, where, Candace Owens is just, it's about her endorsing Trump's official story of his assassination, which is just silly, at this point. But, this is the par for the course. This girl's in high school. She's in charge. She's like the Caroline Levitt of, the fake Christian Barbie truther. She's like the Caroline Levitt of the Pentagon. She's now the press secretary of the Pentagon. And this guy, look at this guy.
Not that I'm aware of, but, interesting question. I can try to find out and maybe let you know. I think that might be more of a law enforcement matter, though.
Yeah.
So I brought that up because it was just so propagandist, so in our faces. I obviously did not think that this was going to lead back to Turning Point USA, but little did I know that we can add Cam Higbee onto our list of brand new. Everyone was just so brand new on that day. Everyone was so brand new leading up to Charlie's assassination. Well, Cam Higbee is on the payroll of Turning Point USA beginning in August of this year.
No way, Candace. Tell me it isn't so. The facts just keep on flying out.
In theory, Cam Higbee, who was laughing off the idea of an assassination attempt, is being paid by the very organization that just had its leader assassinated in broad daylight in front of the entire world. I find that to be interesting.
Is it interesting? I don't know if interesting is the right word, Candace.
expected him to ask that question. I'm just asking questions. But first, after my episode yesterday, I expected, call me crazy, I expected that Turning Point would reach out to me via text, via email, that they would instantly follow up with their long diatribe and be sincere and say, okay, here are some dates and some times. When would you like to make this happen? We're going to set up this great debate. Rather, instead of hearing anything from Turning Point, I heard from Skylar, my executive producer, this morning via text, which I'm going to show you.
Skylar. My executive producer, Skylar. Hey, come over, Skylar. It's me, Candace Owens. I am the princess. Let me know what's going on, Skylar.
That I was somehow already 9 hours into a 24-hour countdown that was issued by Turning Point USA. Here is that text exchange with Skylar this morning. He 8:49 said, "I'm sure you saw this." And I responded to him and I said, "No, actually, I didn't see this." And I opened the tweet, which went out from Blake Neff around midnight last night. And here's what he wrote. I'm like, how am I supposed to see this? The live stream we announced on the show Wednesday has been set. That would imply to the audiences that they reached out to me and we set a time. No, he goes on. At 4 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. local time on Monday, December 15th, a collection of Charlie's friends will respond to statements made by Candace Owens to set the record straight once and for all prior to the opening of America Fest. Now, if it's going to be once and for all, it sounds pretty final. I mean, I would assume that I would have to contribute so that I could answer back, right? He goes on to write, we'll be live streaming, as he said from the beginning, this is going to be a live streamed event from Charlie's Phoenix studio. Our offer from yesterday holds. If Candace wishes to join us in person in Phoenix, she is welcome to do so. She can let us know by the end of today. Why? Well, I'm sorry. If you're saying this is happening on the 15th, why am I getting 24 hours to be able to respond to you? That doesn't make any sense. That, for some reason, feels like this is a BS offer and a really cheap PR move. There's no reason to issue a 24-hour response and to put this up in the middle of the night, A. B, there's no reason you didn't reach out to me.
Okay, so, I said this yesterday, and you've already heard it, that I didn't know how they would do this with her live. Like, when she's a straw man, and they could just exaggerate her claims, right? Like, some of her claims are legitimate. They come from Charlie's own fucking emails, and, there's things that he wanted to do that they're not doing. The audit, and then, and then some of these other things she has, and she supposedly has some things, tips, maybe some legitimate stuff coming from people inside the organization that she could bring in and just show them. Like, again, she's going on their show, but, it's about perception. They've already lost their audience, so, like, they're in a very weak position here, and they suck. I mean, they're, guys who are supposed to be right-wing Christian, and one of them, she says she has evidence that the guy was the CEO who hired everybody. The guy, Tyler Boyer, is gay, and now, as you'll see, someone sent me some some comments, and there was a shitty video I showed. I think you probably already saw that. Well, I think that comes from, I talk about that in the voiceover as I went through the comment section. That Mikey McCoy, there's all these rumors, and I don't know if there's any evidence to support it, that he has a gay relate. He is cheating on his wife with a dude. And so, like, that alone, and so it would be really hard for them to talk about these things and mock Candace and just say, oh, she's just crazy with her there. So they're in a bad position. I don't know if she really wants to go there either. She could still make it happen, from her end. But, we'll see how this plays out. I'll talk about that in a second. But, like, her being a straw man is the only way to go. And no one's going to buy that shit. Like, I don't know how stupid they are, but they don't have much of a choice. Because they're obviously hiding something, right? They're obviously, somehow compromised in this thing, just like with Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Like, they're complicit. Like, at very least, they're complicit. They went along with this. And some of the people there, orchestrated this, basically hostile takeover of Charlie's bullshit thing here that's now plummeted. And so, whatever this thing is, whether it's just a money laundering organization or whatever it has been, it's done. Like, it's run its course in terms of doesn't have any influence over anybody. Like, the people who are still fans of the show like Charlie. They were fans of Charlie. And, whatever amount of people that were in there, and the guy, if they look at Charlie, he was a shackled up piece of shit, right? He took shekels to betray his country, to betray his religion, to, lobby for Israel during the time when they were committing a genocide, and to gaslight college students who were right about the genocide and right about Israel. And so, he's just a piece of shit. So none of this stuff fucking matters. It's not going to change anything. But it's nice watching them implode, right? Especially when they are complete hypocrites. They are the opposite of good Christians, right? Or even good Republicans, or even good Americans, right? Like, they are just a very hypocritical piece of shit organization. Anyways.
And say, hey, does this work? Can I check some flights, see if I can get in there? Nope. This is it. They put this up there on the 15th. The last week of our show is live. Obviously, leading up to Christmas, that's the last week of our show. Obviously, it's a pretty busy week. So I'm like, okay, caught off guard by this, but you know what? I sense this is a PR move. So let me say, you've already said it's live streamed. If an event is live streamed, of course, we can make it work any place. I mean, at any time, any day, we can make this happen, right? Because you're live streaming it. There's no reason I can't show up electronically, okay? I respond to him and I say this, kind of weird how you didn't email or call me to ask about times or availability and instead chose to tweet this confirmation out at midnight. Why am I learning about this on X? December 15th does not work in person, and 2 p.m. happens to also be the literal time that I do my podcast live every day, which you knew, but we will happily cancel the daily podcast and we'll join you guys virtually instead for the live stream on the 15th. If that works on your end, let's lock it in, ?
All right, so, now this is mostly them just not wanting her on. Like, there's no way they want to be on. But she could make it happen. Like, she could jump on a flight. She's got a couple weeks, or whatever it is, just, 10 days. She has 10 days, and it's a weekend, and she could fly out, whatever day it is. I mean, she's got kids and whatever that is. But this would be epic. And she's been building towards this. And then, I mean, she's got her own life or whatever it is, but this could totally be done by her. She can do this, right? She could jump on a flight Monday, come back Monday night, do the flight, come back on a late night flight or Tuesday morning, and then do her show Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before Thanksgiving, and before Christmas. She'd miss her show Tuesday and Monday. Doesn't matter because this would be much bigger. She'd finally be able to get them to answer these questions, which she said she's been wanting all along. So she could technically do it. And again, she's got 4 little kids and, whatever. But her show doesn't matter. Her going there and confronting them would be epically good for her show. Like, she'd come off, with even more fans and more, people following her, and they would be obliterated because they can't answer her questions. And so the live stream, they should just live stream it with her if they want her on. They obviously don't want her on, right? So, but even if she said, yeah, let's do it, I'll be in there, I'll come in, they'd probably find a way to cancel it. Like, if she just committed, like bluffed that she was going to go. But either way, this is only about 10% her, right? Because, I mean, you don't need to travel to Phoenix if she was more. It would be smarter for everyone involved and less uncomfortable if she was able to do it live stream, and she would be able to fact check them, right? She'd have her staff there, and she could pull things up and read whatever she has on her end. She could read whatever statements, tips, evidence she had to debunk what they were saying. So, I mean, it'd be much better for her to do it from here and much worse for them, right? Because she would not be there in person. Like, you go in there and it'd be uncomfortable and everyone would be giving you the stink eye, right? Like everyone is hating you as you come into TPUSGay building and, the surrounding area. You're kind of doing it on their studio, home court, where Charlie used to do his show, all that shit. But the reality is they don't really want her on. I don't know how bad she wants to be on. But, it's a it's a letdown because it would have been really bad. I mean, it would have been fucking just a train wreck, and mostly for them. Because like I said before, she just has to prove some of the things she's saying is true. Like, and, things that were, they don't have a support team or people, they don't have a fan base. They're already, pretty much everybody was a TPUSGay person. I'm going to show you their Twitter in a second. Like, it's fucking a ghost town over there. They don't get any love on Twitter. They don't get any love on YouTube. They're just out there, pretending they have an audience. It's like they're doing an imaginary show, right?
Okay, we're jumping here. Let's make it happen. Okay, that's the beauty of the internet. That is the beauty of 2025. You can literally be any place, anytime. Just send me a link, right? Any place, anytime, and we can join you virtually. In fact, today on their show, they had Andrew Colbett joining them virtually. So they have the tech capability to do this. We have the tech capability to do this. Let's make this sincere and do this for people around the world who do not feel that you guys have been honest and forthcoming in terms of answers that you could obviously supply regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. Well, if we needed any more evidence that nothing that they do is genuine and that this was an obvious planned PR move, here is what Blake tweeted out just now before we went live on the show. Yesterday, we made it clear that we would be scheduling a formal response to allegations and accusations that you have made. We have decided that that response will be delivered during a live stream, as he said, a live stream, on December 15th. Thank you for your response letting us know that you will not be joining the in-person conversation. We will be proceeding without you. Why are you proceeding without me? To have a conversation that is about me. Why am I getting 24 hours to respond? Why do you need me there in person if you are trying to be sincere and answer the very many questions that I have brought up on this show? You guys weren't even sincere in what you said yesterday. You told some glaring lies about things that I have said. So we're supposed to trust that you guys are going to handle this discussion all by yourselves and respond to any and every allegation. And this isn't just some planned PR for once and for all. Like I said, this is so obvious. He is being completely destroyed in the comments because what's happening at Turning Point, and I've seen this happen before.
Yeah, we're going to go check out the comments, so.
Is they now believe that they are smarter than their audience, right? They think they are smarter than their small pocket donors. They can pull such an obviously crappy public move like this and pretend, well, we tried. She said she could make it work, and we tried, but it has to be physically, she needs to be in person, even though we have shown that we have people join us not in person, and it's live streamed, and we both have the tech abilities to do that. If she doesn't make this work within 24 hours, we can now say that it's on Candace. This is a disaster, okay? It is a dumpster fire. That's the only way to describe what is happening at Turning Point USA today and right now is a dumpster fire. Everyone can read this for what it is. As I said, they are getting destroyed.
Okay.
Destroyed in the comments. Like, really.
Okay, so hopefully the tweet's still up and I'll go check it out. But the tweets that they have over there, I checked out first before she said it was Blake Neff. I went and looked at TPUSGay, and I'll show you that in a moment. No one's going over there. They're not going to their Twitter like TPUSGay is done. And, like I've said over and over again, the same thing with Trump. Like, they don't have an option. Trump can't release the Epstein files because he was complicit in, he has a history with Jeffrey Epstein. Like, he just can't. Whatever this stuff, like I call this show, right? Whatever is real or not real or whatever. Things that are whatever happens with these people. Whatever's scripted, just, like it's a fictional tale or just whatever it is. Whatever way you want to look at it, whatever the truth is. TPUSGay has to be involved and complicit with Charlie Kirk's death. Whether it was he was a hologram, whether he never existed, whether it was, whether he's still alive living on Jeffrey Epstein Island, like whatever his thing is, there's no way that they're not involved. And they are pushing an official story to a group of people who never believe the official story at a time where, Trump is, in the Trump administration, the Trump FBI, and Trump federal government is hemorrhaging their own support and their own credibility. Their audience just don't believe the official story, right? And they've lost their audience. Candace Owens gets 2 million views. They get 5,000 views per video, and a lot of the views are people like, you guys suck. You guys, why don't you investigate why don't you come clean, like this kind of thing. And so they can't say anything. They can't be transparent. They can't say, we don't believe in the official story, because the people that are sponsoring them via Israel and everybody else and whoever's there that's complicit. And like I said, they had to have Erica Kirk. If Erica Kirk was going to go and do what Candace is doing, that would be devastating, right? If she came out and said, I don't believe in the official story, this patsy didn't kill my husband, then they would be fucked. Like, they would be so fucked. This thing would blow up, and it would be, with everything else, like with the Epstein stuff. I mean, if she's called out Trump, this thing would be a disaster. So they're boxed into a corner where everybody wants them to call bullshit on the official story. They can't do that, and so in that they are all Judases. They're all they're all betraying Charlie Kirk. They're all stabbing him in the back, and so like it's and they suck on top of it. They're like unwatchable. They just aren't producing good content. So,
guys, really, you're not going to just send us a simple live stream link and let us join you. We've had people on this show live streamed. We could have them tomorrow. I said, in response, I said to them, I'll make this work. I also attached to that tweet any day leading up to the 15th. We can do this virtually any place and any time. But no, they need to have it in person in Phoenix on December 15th, or they cannot have me at all. Is that passing the vibe check for you guys? Or does it seem like more posturing and more of a way for them to simply be in the room with themselves as they all lie without any person in the room to be able to fact check those lies, who have researched those lies and who have kept a list regarding the very many lies they are telling, okay? I maintain that Turning Point is engaged in a cover-up. That is how I feel, okay? And like I said, it pains me to say that, because this was once a bright spot in the conservative movement. It is no longer.
It's always sucked. Charlie sucked and they suck, but it just sucks worse.
Using left-wing tactics, calling us names rather than answering us questions. It's everything Charlie stood against, okay? You don't need to call somebody a racist because they're asking questions about what happened with George Floyd leading up to his death, okay? That is a way that you skip over having to debate logically, is you name call. All Blake Neff did was name call yesterday. All the pastors have been doing. It's demonic, it's possessed, it's evil. How about you simply answer the questions and stop behaving like you're a radical leftist? Everyone can see what you're doing. And that's what I want you guys to know. It's very clear, okay? I'm not asking people to defend me. You are just genuinely this transparent. So I am sorry that I cannot arrive in person because it's out.
Well, you could. It'd be difficult. It'd be weird. And I don't know what her reasoning is. Like, she's not saying why she can't do it. I mean, she's like, her show is now pretty much 100% about TPUSGay and Charlie Kirk's murder. So, and this would bring some resolution to it. And I don't see how this is a bad thing for her to show up there, right? And I'm not, like I said, it's 10% her. Like, I think they might find a way to weasel. I don't know how they could have her on. I don't know how, based on all these things. I mean, they could be working together, but I don't see that. So, like I said, you don't invite your angry ex-girlfriend to your wedding, right? who has a grudge and is going to get fucking liquored up and start saying shit, right? Like this is, like this isn't, they shouldn't have said this in the first place. When they said the ball's in your court, I'm like, you seriously going to invite her on after 3 months of dodging all these things and then coming out and saying a bunch of bullshit, that isn't true? Like that's not, that if she was there, she could, fact check you. Like, I mean, some of the things, like a lot of her shit is weird. Well, she's going to get into the plane thing here in a second, which I want to.
Or last week on air before the holidays, I am still very happy, and I will say it again, to make that date and time and place because I'm here and we have the technological capabilities to make it so, make it work. We can move it around and we can do it even at midnight. I will stay awake and I will make that work for you at midnight, anytime. Just send me a link. In the meantime, we are just going to start investigating harder because you're not acting right, okay? You guys are not acting right and you are not going to be able to get yourselves out of it by trying to be tricky like that. And like I said, the fact that you mentioned the Egyptian planes so many times yesterday without providing a valid answer or reason as to...
It's not about the Egyptian planes, Candace. Okay, so what this is really about, which she says she has evidence. She has direct evidence. She has a person who she says she can name the person who had an affair with, a male person who had an affair with Tyler Boyer, who was a CEO, and then other interns, straight male Christian right-wing interns that came to Turning Point, which I get into at the end of this thing. Like I talk about this, you're going to hear it twice because it's just going to go down like that because I'm adding this thing on. But male interns that are coming to Turning Point who are then being sexually harassed by a male, people who are anti-gay, right-wing Christian people, and they're college-age kids who are, it's abusive, it's sexual harassment, are being flirted with and hit on by Tyler Boyer. That's all you need to destroy Turning Point, because Tyler Boyer introduced Erica Kirk to Charlie Kirk and hired all these other seemingly closeted gay guys who are now running the thing. So that's all you need to destroy the thing. And then if that's the case, then there's hiding so much more. Like you need to just do that one thing. Like, sometimes there's so much stuff out there, so much corruption. Like with Trump, Trump's like, there's so many stories by the left wing. It just sounds like a bitter divorced woman whining about her husband or husband whining about his ex-wife. It's like this thing. There's so many things that it gets overwhelming to the people, right? Like Trump is doing so much bullshit that, and he's always been saying crazy shit. Just like it's when you're covering Joe Biden's senility, it just becomes normalized after a while. Okay, I guess Joe Biden's senile. I guess he's got dementia. It's okay. Like the world's, he hasn't destroyed the country yet. It becomes normalized. And so if you pick a specific thing, there's this giant scandal. And then, some of these other things too. But all you have to do is prove. She could release the information right now and out Tyler Boyer as a gay dude. And say it, before they do this. Or even the day before. If you're on December 14th, which I guess is Sunday, or, so that Friday, she could talk about this thing, and this is the guy, and address this when you're talking about this. And they'll be in the comment section, and it'll go around. I mean, they don't have any views, so they have there's nothing there. And the other thing she could do is say she's going to run their live stream and pause it and comment as they say things and fact check them from her place. Like she could do that on her show. They're doing it at her time when she does a normal show. And she could say, I'm going to fact check this live. And everyone would watch it on her thing. It would just be the same show, but she would be able to respond in a way that they couldn't come back at her. And that would fuck them like she's already done. And I'm sure she's going to do that anyway. So like she's already in the fucking, like she just says, all right, this is how I'm going to respond. And people are going to want to have this stuff fact-checked. And so everyone who watches the live stream is going to then watch whatever Candace Owens' response is. I mean, it's already going to happen. And they're not going to come back with a second response because they really can't. So they're just in a horrible position. I don't know how this is a winning strategy. I mean, they think she was not going to come on the show. And again, like, they can say, well, she didn't come live, but, like, why does it have to be live, like she said? I mean, that's what people are going to see, and they're going to, you know, a majority of people are going to side with her. And they have a few, like, loyal people that are maybe just don't like Candace, or they just don't want to see there, but they don't have fans. There's no Blake Neff fans, right? There's no Andrew Kovic fans. There's no, I mean, Erica Kirk has limited number of fans. Like, she's the star that's left. And, you know, she's not. I mean, most people don't like her. And so, I mean, they're kind of fucked. But this thing with the planes, let's just...
Why we should just ignore military planes that are circulating that don't belong to our country. We're going to stay focused on that. And guess what? We have some more explosive revelations, which lead to more questions, which should be answered. And by the way, Turning Point, you should be concerned about. How odd, guys, that they're not concerned about the Egyptian planes. They don't even know.
It's crazy. They don't care about those fucking Egyptian planes, right? And I don't know. You know, Candace isn't trustworthy, and she never reveals, I would say never, but most times she doesn't show her evidence, right? And so this isn't being done as, you know, she's just saying, I got this on the tip line or these things. But if there are Egyptian planes, and there's, you know, I'm sure there are Egyptian planes, like whatever, right? But, you know, it's you never get resolution. And her going on that show would have been resolution, right? Where she would have presented her facts, and they would have presented their facts, and then it would be whatever. And people can make up their minds, and, you know. But now it's just going to be this forever.
Feign concern. They don't even know how to sell to us in their best acting that they care about what transpired on that day. If you wanted to act like you cared, you would go, yeah, no, that is actually weird. I wonder what those planes are about. Instead, they're like, ha ha ha, Egyptian planes. What we've had to endure this crazy talk about these Egyptian planes. You should be concerned. And I'm going to give more cause for concern, okay? Because as you guys will recall, 2 Egyptian planes, got it. For the sake of ease, we've labeled one blue, that's SUBND, which was the one that was transponding on the ground at Duncan Aviation on the day of Charlie's assassination.
This is where she just, you know, she gets into the red plane, or the blue plane, yellow plane, you know, the red fish, blue fish thing. And like I said, if you just want to take him down, just release the information on Tyler Boyer. But you said that, you know, you have irrefutable information and testimony from people who said that he is gay. And he's had interns that he was hitting on, all that stuff, and that's enough to take him down. All right. So, this piece of shit, Nick Fuentes, who caused a big problem with big controversy with Tucker Carlson, someone said I should cover him because he has a lot of material. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. But I opened up Twitter. And this guy in his little Christmas shop here.
If she's so afraid for her life, why was she at Tucker Carlson's Christmas party in Nashville last night?
It's another gay fucking dude, right? Is there any Republican straight dudes out there?
Why was she at Dollywood on Thanksgiving?
Why was he on Dollywood? Why is he on Dollywood? Why is he on Tucker Carlson? I don't know. This is fucking Andy Rooney?
The theme park.
Is he Andy Rooney?
So, allegedly, the French government and the Israeli intelligence have put a hit out on you.
Allegedly, the French government and the Israeli government has put a hit on you. What do you know?
They've paid millions of dollars to kill you, but you're walking around a theme park in your town?
In your town? Why are you doing that, Candace? Candace, it doesn't make any sense.
You're walking around, for those that don't know, what is it, Dollywood, Dollyland?
It's like Dollywood. It's Dollywood. Everyone knows it's Dollywood. It's like Hollywood. It's not Hollyland. Look to do it. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Like Dolly Parton's Disney World. You're walking around Disney World? You're walking around an amusement park in your hometown.
In your hometown? Like, what are you? Like, you got a death wish or something?
On the holiday weekend when allegedly everyone's trying to kill you?
Okay. This fucking another Republican gay dude. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Is there any heterosexual Republican guys that are like whatever? And there's that guy Steven Crowder too. All those guys. I mean, it's just like what's going on here? So they could kill her at her house, and that would be the easiest thing to do. Like, I mean, you're making it sound like they couldn't kill her at her house. Like she has to be out. She has to be out in public. Because why? Because they have to make it public. Now, I said this stuff before. I don't think this. She's inserted herself and made her the center of the show, and all these people want that. That's what he wants as well, right? But I think he's going to get hammered for this because TPUSGay is clearly, I would mostly in the wrong here. Like she wants to be the center of the show and all these things, like I said. But I never heard this guy talk. I'm like, oh my God.
And you go to a Christmas party with Tucker Carlson in the same city, attended by hundreds of people, and people know you're going to be there.
People know you're going to be there? Like they can't go to her house and kill her? Like, what the fuck, right? I mean, that's the best way to do it, wouldn't you think? I mean, like, she just, like, public is witnesses and civilian casualties and all that other stuff, right? And so, like, it's the fucking, this is just pointless. Like, make it about how she's being an attention whore, right? That's what you should make this about. Which is clearly what she likes people talking about her. She likes being the center of attention. She likes, Erica being not the center of attention, right? Like,
with Tucker and all the base people in one room, but you can't go to Turning Point, where everybody knows you're going to be, and if anything happened to you, God forbid, they would immediately blame Turning Point. It doesn't.
Now, again, I said that she could go there, but she's got 4 kids. And, I mean, they can do, why not say they can do it virtually? Like, this is the thing. This is the headline here. Like, they could do it virtually. And what they're doing is, they don't want her there. I mean, she could do it virtually with them. I mean, they're doing virtual stuff, like she said. It's not like that's, they don't want her there. Like, they didn't think she was going to come. Right? And they really can't have her there. Like, that's the thing. Now, her not going there, that's on her. I mean, if this was really that important to her, she would go. But, again, it's not like they did this in some way where they clearly wanted her there. They're looking for her no from her. I mean, there's no question about it. So they're both, complicit in this not happening. I mean, they both have their reasons. But they're the ones that really don't want her there. Like, we don't know if she wanted to go there at all either. And I said before, whatever it was, that there's going to be some sort of negotiation. And the negotiation already failed. For them to give her a 24-hour deadline, they want her to say no, right? They're like, the clock is ticking. You got 24 hours to respond. And, whatever that thing is. I mean, and they just posted it on Twitter, not trying to coordinate something with her, like they're reaching out to a guest. Like, they didn't want her there. Like, it's clear that that's the case. Whether she wanted to go there, again, whatever that thing is on her end, she was willing to go there virtually, and that's what everyone would want, right? She volunteered to do that. There's no reason for them not to say that. And you're being a piece of shit because you're a gay piece of shit, right? Pretending to be a right-wing fucking racist, anti-Semite fucking Republican guy.
Doesn't even make any sense. So she says, I'm going to live stream the live stream, and I'm going to fact check it in real time. Why? I think we all know why. She's totally full of shit.
Oh, that's, if she was totally full of shit, they would have her be on there virtually. You're totally full of shit, too, like you guys all are. That's the problem. There's not one of you that's totally full of shit. But her fact checking it live means everybody's going to watch her show. And they're going to watch it anyway. Like, be honest about it. Like, that's the better thing for her to do because she can do that from the comfort of her own home. And if she shows actual evidence, which she very seldom does. But, the claims now, they can make claims. Like, they can just ignore the Tyler Boyer thing. Like, they don't have to bring up that he's gay. Right? Like she's going to respond to their stuff. And so they can put out only the stuff that they want to talk about without her saying, well, what about this, right? With her being there. But either way, like, it's never going to come out. Like, it would have been okay. I mean, it would have been worth watching just as some kind of resolution. But, it's not anything, right? There's never any, like, fucking definitive truth anymore. Is this America First? He's got an AF mug. So this guy and Candace Owens both are anti-Zionist, anti-Israel. But he's taking TPUSGay side, right? Charlie Shekels was run by Israel. Like, he should be his number one enemy. His number one thing is to be anti-Israel. Like, that's his whole thing. They call him a Nazi. Like, this is his whatever. Like, Tucker Carlson got hammered for even giving him a platform by all these people. And it was mostly Zionists. And yet you're going after the one other person other than Tucker Carlson that's calling these people out. And you're backing the fucking most shackled up organization that was out there trying to convince these guys. So he's just, they're all just pieces of shit. Like, they're just, you're all just pieces of shit. Like, just, there's nothing here but pieces of shit.
She doesn't care about the truth. If she did, she would go, no matter the cost. If she were really courageous and a truth teller, she would bootstrap it and she would say, wish me luck. She would kiss her husband when she walks out the door and say, it might not be coming back. And she would go and just fully send it.
She didn't say that she was worried about being killed. Like, that's not why she said she wasn't going to go. Like, you're making that up. Like, she never said that. And so, like, I virtually would be the way to do it anyway, right? But whatever. Like, that's just whatever it is. But the issue here is you believe the official story. You believe that Charlie Kirk was killed by this guy. And you don't think Israel had anything to do with it, even though you're so-called an anti-Israeli, fucking anti-Zionist person. So this guy just absolutely sucks. All right, let's find Tyler Boyer's thing, or Blake Neff's thing here. Okay, so this person isn't Nick Fuentes, and I don't know if he has this posted on Twitter. This thing got 76,000 views. We could look at the comments here. Well, do I have to how do I get the comments? Fucking piece of shit. Do I have to post a comment to read the comments, or are the comments just right here? Here they are. Okay. This is ridiculous. When you consider President Trump also leaves the House, are we to assume that anyone who attends a Christmas party has never been threatened? Exposing Candace's trick of manipulating an audience. So this is all people that are anti-Candace. But here's the thing. I want to come back to Nick Fuentes in a moment here. Pockets of the future, you're not verified yet. And I never will be. You're not verifying me, motherfuckers. So this is unfiltered free. Candace Owens just roasted Tim Pool in response to her calling her a fucking scumbag and blaming her for the division in the GOP. That was from this other video. This whole thing. But this is Candace Owens' page, and this one has 30 million views. Again, Twitter is very, this thing has 1 million views. This has the public response. This is her and Blake Neff here. And this has, what is it? It's 1.6 million views, right? And so, this is the Nick Fuentes thing. We can go, this is this video here. And when I search for TPUSA, when I search for Instagool, I search for Instagool. Like, I think it's called Instagool. And when I was searching for Turning Point USA, I started to type in US gay. I'm like, that's not going to deliver what I want. And this is what came out. Turning Point USA, Blake Neff, and Candace Owens. So that's what's going on there. They have 1.5 million followers. And this is a Charlie Kirk thing that has 3 million thing that's pinned from before. It's an old tweet. And this one has 82,000 views. I don't know what that's from. But this other stuff here, Turning Point USA, when they reposted stuff, 30,000 views. And then there's a lot of things I looked at last night that had, maybe we'll get into it here. 46,000 views, right? This Charlie thing has 49,000. And, so they have more views on Twitter. But Twitter is definitely not I don't think it's very accurate. I mean, it seems like they have, and not nearly what Candace Owens getting. And so Blake Neff posted this thing here. Yesterday, we made it clear we would be scheduling a formal response to the accusations you have made. We decided the response will be delivered during live stream on December 15th. Thank you for a response, letting us know you will not be joining in-person conversation. We will be proceeding without you. Kind of weird that you didn't email and call me, ask me the time's available. This is the thing. This is what she said, right? We saw that stuff was what she said. And then Blake Neff reposted this thing, and this is him being virtual, right? This is, they're bringing in Andrew Kovic, and this guy's virtual. So they got two virtual guys here.
Cared a lot about the fate of the United Kingdom and how it could be a country that
these girls were not just being sexually abused.
Hearings are public. That
this guy's coming in from England, and this guy, is wherever he is.
I've been reading these transcripts while you guys have been.
So they can show they can do it virtually, which is a mistake, right? Because, they don't want to have her on the show. And she probably doesn't want to go. Which I was wondering, whatever. I don't know what the thing is. She hasn't gone to any of their stuff. Because, when I was ostracized, when I went through my divorce and my ex was bad-mouthing, and I just looked at the two pictures of us, and I was like, there's no way. And she was, much more social within the organization, the meditation that I do, right? And I had I had called Kamlesh Patel, the new master, out on some bullshit when he started kicking people out of his birthday gathering, which was just, for bringing kids, which is a fucked up thing. And so I wrote to him, and he, was kind of a little bitch. This guy, I didn't know that at the time, and so he was angry at me, and so he was, whatever, like I was persona non grata, and I looked at my ex and myself, and I'm like, there's no way that people are gonna take my side. Like, there's just no way. No matter what I say, no matter how I, and I was weakened, and I'm left with the kids in a difficult situation. She's undermining my whatever, my reputation in the organization. And I knew that I was kind of fucked because it just, I'm me, and I don't get along with people, and I don't reach out to people, and I'm abrasive, and all the things. And my ex is just much better at manipulating people, and I'm much better. I'm not, I don't do it at all, right? And I don't care. I was like, who gives a shit, right? And so when I went to gatherings, when I came back to America, Kamlesh came, I was in India, and Kamlesh came back and was having a gathering in L.A. And I went there, and everyone was looking at me like I was a fucking leper. Because he was, he and my ex had, they were all just saying, which was completely fucked up on his part, right? And it was really uncomfortable. It just sucked. I mean, just from a standpoint where, I don't like to be noticed, and I would usually go to these things, and, there's people I know and whatever, but most people wouldn't even know I was there. And, I went back to the ashram. My brother was a caretaker there for another gathering that Kamlesh wasn't there, and, there was some discomfort. Whatever. I didn't care because I was like, I'm not going to let these people wreck the thing. But when you're not wanted and you show up at a place, you have to be a certain kind of person to do that. And, in that setting, that is whatever it is, right? So, but they clearly didn't want her on. These guys at Turning Point USGay. They didn't want her on, right? So the original, this is the original tweet here, and it got 2.8 million views. You know, his normal stuff here, this thing got 1.8 million views, his response. And this, his stuff here gets, where's the view count here? You know, they get almost no views on their thing. He's got 72,000 views, which is, you know, bizarre because, like, he doesn't have fans. But this thing where he, let's put it this way here. This is his thing. And here are the comments. Well, I knew you'd pull something like this. Here it is. Everyone, including you, knows that's not how you book a guest on a show. This is Jimmy Dore. You're supposed to contact them and find mutually agreeable time and date. You don't publicly announce the date before it's confirmed. It's transparently obvious that what you're doing here, but you're all shady as fuck, including all the pastors you associate with. Nice ratio, by the way. Of course, this is how you book a guest. We are not booking a guest and never said we were. We are delivering a response to several months of escalating harassment and lies. She was given the opportunity to join and decline. No, you were booking a guest. You're ducking a guest, which is obvious. You keep doubling down on your transparently shady behavior. It's ours, and everyone sees through you, which is why you're getting ratioed on your posts. Sincerely, nice ratio. Of course, it isn't how you book a guest. Oh, this is his response. Read the comments and give a boop that people are pro TPUSGay and percentage that are not buying Blake's bullshit. Based on 30 top replies in this post, about 7 support TPUSGay's position, where 93 expressed doubt or criticism of Blake's response. You offered the invite and said the ball's in your court. An invite with a midnight deadline, no prior contact, in person only, desperate threats, and zero flexibility on virtual. That's not an invitation. This is rigging the game, so you can claim she forfeited. Your demand that she physically attend whilst you have Andrew Culver appear virtually today is sus and obvious. You deserve the mockery happening at your expense now. TPUSGay is crumbling. Enjoy. We decided to honor Charlie Kirk's legacy by destroying TPUSGay. So, you know, they're getting hammered, right? Because, of course they are. But, like, Candace is fucking Candace. She doesn't really provide facts. You know, I mean, most of the time. And she wants to be the center of attention. And they're all fucked up, right? But the thing about Nick Fuentes, you know, going back to this, you know, whatever this fucking column was saying here. This, you know, like him saying this.
And that all of her facts are wrong and she might not be able to explain herself. If she's at home, she's not under pressure.
Yeah, he's not under pressure. But she's not the one who's under pressure. That's the other thing. Like, no one wants to go on somebody else's home court. Like, they're more comfortable. It'll be like an intervention of 4 of these, you know, gay dudes sitting around a table with Charlie's chair and Candace Owens. And so, you know, it'd be an uncomfortable situation. And, like, this guy's, I mean, I know he was this much of a fucking putz. What a fucking piece of shit this guy is. But, you know, there's reasons why she wouldn't want to go. And they both could suffer some severe embarrassment because she's got real shit on them and they're covering shit up. And then she's got weird shit, and who knows, you know, how badly she's lied to her audience, right? So both are, you know, would be, I mean, they could both take a fucking beating, right? They could both come out looking horrible. And so, you know, whatever that is. But this piece of shit, right? His number one thing, I believe, and I, you know, just from what I hear, is that he is a anti-Zionist relationship with Israel person, right? And so, and like that's one of his main things. And if you believe that the relationship between America and Israel is parasitic, and that they control America in various ways, the Zionists, not only people from Israel, but Zionists, not only Jewish people, but Zionist Christians and these other people. And they're pushing this relationship, which is not putting America first. Like, if that's your thing, like that's your number one thing, and I believe that's his number one thing, and it's also maybe one of Candace's, top things. And they're both on the same side. Her, Tucker Carlson, a little bit Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly, not really. Megyn Kelly, just circling the fire. And then you had this huge organization, this huge thing with Charlie Kirk that blew up because he took $200 million of Zionist money because he's a fucking shackled up piece of shit, right? And he built this organization with that money. Like, Charlie Kirk isn't, as far as I can tell, isn't as, I mean, he's better than the people that are on there now, but he's not fucking that appealing that he would have had, like, without that money, he would be as big as they say Turning Point USK is, right? I mean, you have to generate money from, your fans and from fucking ad revenue. You're not going to make $200 million. I mean, he got all that donor money. Like, he was getting donor money. Like, he was, people were, paying him money to do shit, right? Paying him millions of dollars to represent Israel at college campuses where they were getting hammered in other places, right? So if you're this piece of shit, if he's, if you're really against the Zionist movement and the fact that they control media and you've been censored, like this guy's been censored and, deplatformed or whatever he's gone through, that he's not allowed to, I mean, he's one of these people he was Alex Jones, right? He was, deplatformed. And, whatever censorship he's experienced. And that these Zionists control everything and won't let you speak about it. And it's slowly opening up. And Candace Owens is the most vocal other right-wing person out there. And the liberals, you would join with all those people, whether you liked Candace Owens or not, or whether you liked the liberals or not. You would join together to fight this one common enemy, right? The Zionist lobby that controls all of America. If you really believe that shit, then you would be about that, right? You would, see that this person is, like, at least on your side for your most important issue, regardless of any of these things. And you really can't compete with Turning Point US Gay. At least you couldn't when Charlie Kirk was alive, because he was, he's taken up a lot of airspace in this region, and he's your ultimate enemy because he's a guy taking Zionist money. He's shackled up. But then coming out and defending TPUSGay, who, Charlie was slowly backing out of was slowly, trying to undermine his being shackled up by Israel in his position, and he gets killed. And then you're going to buy into the official story, and you're going to go after Candace Owens, who's, obviously got her issues, but she's on your side. Like, this, totally illogical. See, the right wing is just full of not that the left wing's any better, obviously, but these people just all suck, right? They're all fake Christians. Most of them are seem gay, right? Like the men seem gay. The women are like barracudas. They're all fucking. They're not like, nice submissive Christian wives that put their husbands, follow their husband's lead and support him, and all this soft Christian women who have lots of kids. Like, they're all like Laura Loomers and fucking. Marjorie Taylor Greens, and they're all vicious and, backbiting. And, when Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, who were basically the same person, were getting into it, shouting at each other at the fucking floor of the House. Marjorie Taylor Greene has gotten better, at least. But they're all like horrible fucking people. They're like the opposites of what they pretend to be, right? They're not nice Christian women. They're not fucking heterosexual, manly, guys with testosterone and right-wing things like hunting and football. They're all like fucking these effeminized, closeted gay dudes or metrosexual dudes that, it's just so fucking weird. None of them are who they. It's like all these rappers who pretend they're gangster rappers and they're actually gay college dudes, right? They went to college and grew up in the suburbs, right? Like, everything's a fucking joke and a lie. They're just all fucking, it's just a mess. Anyways, so that's this clown. Okay, so I want to segue into this last little clip I had from yesterday and then my voiceover. And I'm discussing, how these grifting people, the right-wing people, came in and took over the truth community, and they're just full of shit, right? And so this thing with Candace Owens and TPUSGay, they both know they're lying. They both know that they're exaggerating things, or they are, Like all these people know that they can be called on their bullshit because they're not telling the truth about something, right? Because, if you watch like a trial, for example, or, when my ex was going through her divorce and there was mental illness on both sides, this is a prolonged divorce where custody issues bled into, our thing, after we were together. And so that went on for like 7 years. And we wanted to leave the state, and like there was, like I said, mental issues on both sides, like pretty severe ones. And she had her psychologist, right? She had her psychologist and, who did an assessment on the whole situation. These are guys who will regularly testify in front of a court. And then he hired a guy, and her guy took her side, and his guy took his side, right? Her ex, because they were being paid. And so I'm going to get my master's degree in counseling, and I'm taking psychological assessments from this guy who does this very same work. He does the exact same work. And, he was basically talking about this situation where, you would hire, the guy that you hired would somehow always give a favorable opinion about your psychological state and a negative one of the other person. He would agree with you, or she would agree with you. Like it was 100% of the time almost, right? Unless somebody was like an absolute piece of shit and somebody had a, whatever it was. But whoever was paying you, you would give them their, a positive diagnosis or a positive assessment of the situation. It's so fucked up. Like, you're supposed to be a psychologist. I'm like, well, this thing's a joke then. Like, if you're going to be bought and paid in a divorce situation and, side with whoever is paying you. And that's how, everything is. And the judge either believes one or the other or neither one of them, because how can they be trusted when you know that they're just agreeing with the person that's hired them? And like, in a court situation, they present evidence and people in the jury either buy it or they don't. And they all have their own personal prejudices. And that's why, like, there are no facts. And I've said this over and over again, like there's math facts, but there's, in terms of history and in terms of he said, she said, in terms of stories, there are no real facts. And unless somebody comes out and just admits what they did. And even then they could be like, not being truthful because they feel guilty or ashamed or they're humiliated, whatever it is. And they're just, nobody can be believed, even when they're confessing or trying to be self-deprecating. You're never going to get to the truth by listening to people, right? And people presented evidence. You won't. Like, you just have to figure it out for yourself. And I can see clearly for me, the right wing has been full of shit for a long time. The left wing is equally full of shit in a different way, but, full of shit is like a nice way of saying it. Like, completely gross and disconnected from God and, disconnected from their own souls and following a bunch of agendas and talking points and points of view that are not based in anything divine or anything, hypocritical and pretending to be one thing and being the exact opposite. Liberals who are angry and hostile and violent but claim to be against war, right? Like I saw a meme the other day. Liberal women, like, divorce their husbands and only let their husbands see their kids once a month, and yet are sad that, crying that immigrant families are getting broken up, right? Like, so, they're all full of shit. And we just saw the right wing being full of shit here. And they're just all like, disingenuous and they're all fake and they're all, whatever they are. They're not what they claim to be. And none of them want resolution. Everybody wants a fog. The fog of war at peace exists. Everyone wants no one wants to see the details come in focus. They want to be able to lie and manipulate their audience and keep these beefs going and the conflict going with no real resolution. There's never any resolution to any of these things, right? And there won't be to the TPUSGay, who was, but the bottom line is that the majority of people who are fans of them, and that's what should matter to them, not people like me or not people on the left or not, real truthers, but people who were contributors and fans of TPUSGay and Charlie Kirk, they don't believe the official story. They don't believe Charlie Kirk was murdered by this kid. And the majority of people on the right don't believe that. And lots of people on the left aren't going to believe that either. although they'll believe the official story when it's their stuff. And so, you know, this is, there's nowhere back for them, right? Like, they can't endorse the official story and stay credible. And at least that's a positive thing. At least there's enough people out there that now doubt the official story. But that also means we're very close to the end, because people are starting to realize there's no political solution. There's no heroes. There's no deep state. There's no good guys and bad guys. And that the system can't be saved or changed, which is, you know, something I've been saying for years, but I've been glad people haven't been believing it, right? Because when everyone starts believing it, that means your system, which is 100% based in perception, as soon as people perceive the system isn't what, you know, this system isn't strong, or the system's evil, or the system money isn't worth anything, or any number of things, then it collapses. Because once people realize the truth and they wake up, which has been the goal all along of the stupid truth community, there's only one outcome, and that is the collapse of the system. And so that's where we're headed. All right, so here's this last clip with Candace, and then the voiceover, and this is, you know, I won't have a video till Sunday morning, and, you know, the rest of it. Okay, one more thing to cover here. I want to tell you why this is something showing that Candace Owens is a POS, right? Which I'll explain that in a moment. You know, this is why what I've been covering lately. You know, this is great that's going to happen with the TPUSGay debate. And like I said, there's no outcome here. Well, I'll get into that in a moment. You know, I made lunch. I brought my dogs out for a walk. I was listening to this when we went out for a walk. That's why I decided I would cover this. It'll probably be the end of the video, depending how long the video is and whether I answer comments or whatever. And, you know, I made lunch. I made these basically quesadillas, and I left a pan on. I've been doing shit like that lately. You know, I've always had a really good memory, although I've always been a little bit careless as well. But I'm forgetting things. You know, it's just, you know, it's not huge. It's not like some overwhelming thing. But, you know, you just start, as you get older, you start having these things, right? But anyways, there's that. So I was thinking while I was walking with my dogs, you know, I should have, or I want to add something here that I had wished I'd thought of earlier about this Tyler Boyer thing. So if what Candace Owens is saying is true here, and I don't see how it can't be, because these guys all seem very gay, right? You know, that's why I call it TPUSGay. And it made sense to me when she said it. You know, when she said Tyler Boyer, the guy who hired all these people, was hitting on interns. So if that turns out to be true, and she can demonstrate it, and they have to basically kind of admit that the COO of their company, Charlie's second-hand man, was closetedly gay, because I think he's married, and he was hitting on these Christian boys. These are guys who are going to TPUSGay, and their parents are like, well, they'll be safe there, right, from predatory gay men, right? Like, you would think that they would, you know, the way that Charlie speaks about such things, Charlie's whole thing was influencing young men, right? Being able to, you know, turn these lost boys around, as Erica J. Kirk called them. And these lost boys who are, you know, who are growing up being demonized and are being dragged down by the left, and people, you know, young heterosexual Christian men who are being demonized, and they go to Turning Point and they get hit on by the fucking COO. And they, you know, this guy who has power and influence, and maybe he hooks up with some of them who are, you know, lost and confused. Even if they don't, like, that's not, you know, they're not safe from these predators, right? That's not what these Christian families or these Christian kids signed up for, unless it's become a you know, bastion for closeted gay Christian boys or whatever who would go there and hook up like it's a whole thing. You know, and then all these other guys who work there, who we hired, who seemed very gay. You know, I was playing this, I showed my wife this video clip last night of Blake, and she's like, oh my God, he's so gay, right? I'm like, yeah, you know, so, I mean, she's seen the guy before, but, you know, it's just that if they're not gay, they're like, why are they not gay, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense otherwise. And so that's how fucked this whole thing is, right? And Charlie Kirk, and she's a part of this, because they probably knew Tyler Boyer. Like, she probably knew this for years. There's rumors about the guy, and Charlie Kirk probably knew it. And he's not trying to protect these young interns and young men, you know, just the way that that Trump didn't try to protect the young girls working from him from Jeffrey Epstein. You know, these people who know somebody's a predator and they don't get rid of the guy. So the whole fucking thing is like fucked. Like that's all you need is that one thing. You don't need anything else about Egyptian planes, any of these other things, right? So she has this clip of this woman who answers questions about the assassination attempt. Some guy goes, "Don't laugh, but is there any truth to this?" Woman has just become the new spokesperson for the Pentagon, and they're having their own briefings, you know, which isn't probably a good time because Pete Hegseth, the report just came out about him leaking classified information on Signal, which I'll probably cover next time. I was going to cover today. We'll see what happens. See how much time I have, you know, in terms of this video. But either way, you know, the Pentagon's suffering badly right now, and they're about to go to war with Venezuela and other places. Who knows if they're going to bring back the draft or all these things, right? And this woman comes out, and the first question she's asked is about, you know, some guy said, "Don't laugh, but, you know, is there any plot to murder Candace Owens?" Of course, Candace Owens laps that all up, right? But then she starts talking about this stuff, and she ends up, you know, talking about Ketchupgate, but not Ketchupgate. You know, she confirms the official story. So I want to get into that here.
Trying not to laugh at you questioning whether or not a 30-06 can be magically stopped by a human neck. How dare you ask any questions or speak to us about states coordinating assassinations? And are you guys still talking about the Epstein files? That's the attitude. They think this is good PR. Like the Zionist accounts are sharing this, and they're going, LOL. I don't know that the American
government... she got into how Laura Loomer is crazy. That Laura Loomer has had mental breakdowns. She can't own a handgun because she's crazy. Everybody knows she's crazy, but now she's become official spokesperson for Trump. Of course, she was influencing decisions in the government based in her relationship with Trump, right? So that's part of this thing here that she said earlier.
Government has ever been more, I don't know if they've ever been more out of touch with the American people than to see this as they're like, send it around the press. Ha ha. The Pentagon is laughing at foreign assassination. They don't take anything seriously. Yeah, we just watched Trump get shot at and his ear clipped.
Okay, so she says all these things about the way that Trump's government is compromised. I mean, she's not getting into all this stuff with his fucking Venezuela bullshit, but she almost kind of has to. She's come out and basically says Trump's complicit in Charlie Kirk's assassination. She's saying that they're ignoring her attempted assassination. And then she's confirming that he got his ear clipped. What the fuck are you talking about, right? If, you know, you're saying that the federal story is always correct. The Trump assassination attempt, Ketchupgate, was the fakest fucking thing. And for me, it was the big separator between real truthers and fake wannabe Trump people. Even long-standing truthers who I thought, you know, people watch their videos. I mean, I didn't listen to them because I don't listen to other truthers. But many of you listen to these same people. And when I heard that they were all, you know, agreeing with the Trump assassination bullshit thing, when if it had been Joe Biden, they all would have called bullshit. I knew they weren't real truthers, right? And so let her finish up here.
Watched another person try to assassinate Trump on the golf field, and then we watched Charlie Kirk die publicly. But LOL, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. That's not what we're here for. Get to work, slaves. Again,
he sounds like Alex Jones there.
There's no left or right. It's just the elites. It's the media apparatus that protects those elites, and then the rest of us who are supposed to be slaves. Okay?
Okay, so yeah, all right, that's old school truther shit. But let me switch over to voiceover here. The problem is when you're trying to get people to believe in Egyptian planes and French assassins and French Foreign Legion and all this kind of stuff, you know, which there's whatever level of truth there's there. And that they're trying to kill you specifically, and that makes you the center of the story and all that stuff. When you're trying to get people to believe that, right? And then you're going to come out with this bullshit thing about Trump's year. And that you were a Trumper when it happened. See, that's the issue. And Tucker Carlson, that piece of shit, are still out there hawking this idea that Trump didn't fucking... You know, Tucker Carlson's now having, you know, 9/11 truth people on his show. He's reversed his position on that. Which is great, you know. I'm all for it. If you start looking back at some of these other things and realize you've been lied to about everything, right? If it's only left and right, and there's no left and there's no right, and it's just everyone else is slaves, then you would realize you have no chance against them, right? If the system's that rigged that there's just, one party system, which you and Marjorie Taylor Greene are finally realizing, which is good for you, but you're late to the fucking party, right? And you have to start questioning everything. Why would you start saying things, about Trump when you know Trump's a piece of shit now, and that thing looks so fake? Why wouldn't you question that? Like, why? The evidence is overwhelming. There's no damage to his ear. At very least, we know he wore a maxi pad and did the WWE style performance. Like, this is just all WWE stuff. I mean, it's for dumb fucks who believe WWE is real or who enjoy the WWE, right? Like, it's a dumb fuck thing. It's like you have to be drunk or brain dead to look at that stuff as entertainment. And Trump panders to those dumb fucks, and he did a assassination in a WWE style assassination. That's what I first said, and I didn't even know he had all the relationship with Vince McMahon. He now has a WWE education department with that fucking dumbass, Vince McMahon's wife, Linda McMahon, who called AI A1, right? Like, that's the person running the education department. And so you're trying to convince people of the reality of your assassination attempt by talking about how Trump got assassinated, when anybody with half a brain should question that fake shit, right? Especially now when it's easy, not when it was hard, right? And so the reason I say all these people are pieces of shit is because, they cherry pick the things that they are, that they believe or don't believe, and they're willing to cover and say, and it's based along political lines. It's based on their audience. Her audience is right-wing people. So she can't go after Trump's fake assassination attempt, which is just as big a deal as any of these other things, even more so. And she can't go after a lot of things that Trump's doing because she'd lose her audience, right? Because she's pandering to right-wing people who, claim to be Christians, so she has to be a Christian. None of them are really Christians. None of them are with Christ. That's why I make fun of the Bible, I make fun of Christians, because they're all frauds. There are some special Christians, and you may be one of them, and I hope you are, if you are a Christian, that have a real relationship with Jesus. That Jesus and, his soul is connected to you, like not in some bullshit way, but in a real way. Not because you wear a cross, not because you go to church, because of your heart, right? Because of your heartfelt connection to Jesus. It's people who love God who just happen to be born in a Christian family, and because of a God-loving heart, which very few people have. Even in, what I do with the Massage Mark Meditation, which is about having a God-loving heart. Even then, it's only a small group of people that really have the actual, connection, right? The actual, the relationship with divinity. And if you're a Christian, it'll be in the form of Jesus. If you're a Buddhist, it'll be a form of Buddha. But if you're, a spiritual person and you transcend this limited version of your religion and you leave it behind like Jesus did and all these other great souls, great, spiritual beings did, you'll have a direct relationship with God without any religion, because a religion is a barrier. That's what Jesus was confronting the Pharisees, because religions suck. The Pharisees and the religion that he was confronting back then, the Jewish religion, is, very much the Christian religion now. If Jesus was alive, he'd be confronting the Christian religion because it's keeping people away from God, and it's, it's monetized itself, and it's weaponized itself. And it's the exact opposite of what Jesus wanted, right? So, there are some of us that knew the big event in 2001 was a lie. I knew in 2005, right? And I maybe before that, 2004. And, then these other things that have happened since then. And I'm one of the old school truthers here. Most of them are gone. I was homesteading and doing these things, and I'll talk about the spiritual stuff in a moment. But we're ahead of you. Like, we're just ahead of you. All of us who've been doing this for 10 or 15 years, you go on a journey. Some people say stuck, and they're still talking about the Illuminati. They're still making the same videos, talking about the same bullshit. They're still flat earthers. They're still whatever the fuck they are, right? They're still QAnon people. They didn't really ever become truthers in the first place. And what I mean by a truther is somebody who seeks truth and is not looking to be a part of a group, and is not looking to be part of a mental construct like a dogma. You can't be a right-wing truther or a left-wing truther. You have to leave all that shit behind. When you say things like, there's no left or no right, like Candace Owens just did, that's the starting point. But that means you have to leave all your right-wing prejudice behind. You have to leave all that shit behind. And you have to see the world in a completely different way. And then you have to go through the various levels of understanding what that means. And the first part is realizing the system cannot be changed. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's going to collapse of its own depravity. So then you have to be thinking about, well, what is my true purpose? If my true purpose isn't a part of the system, like if you have a job, sure, you have a career, yeah, great. But that's not your true purpose. Bigger than your purpose in this life. Yeah, you have to have a job, sure. You have to have a career, sure, whatever it is. You have to have a family. You have to have certain things for yourself. You have to eat. You have to have a place to live. But if your purpose isn't to get a gazillion dollars, it isn't to get $1 billion or hundreds of millions of dollars, if your purpose isn't to be famous, if your purpose isn't to be any number of things, president of the PTA, or you might assume some of these roles, but you have to have a deeper purpose. And it's a spiritual purpose, and it's not anything you're going to find in your bullshit religion. And if all these things are compromised, then your religion is compromised too. There's no left and there's no right, but your Catholic Church is safe. What the fuck are you talking about, Candace, right? Any of these people. And so those of us who are ahead of you, we have much more to offer. And, like you got a dumbed down audience who's just waking up with you, and that's fine. But you guys should recognize that there's people way ahead of you in terms of true stuff. And you might not be able to hear what you have to say, fine. But don't fucking think that you're the shit, right? Because you're not. The arrogance and the swagger, right? And then there's a spiritual thing that none of you guys have. Very few people have been on a true spiritual path. That maybe you've been in some organization or whatever, you've been a religion, but very few people have been, working towards an internal connection to God and have the benefits that I've had because of the Sizemar system. And again, this isn't me bragging or saying I don't give a shit, right? There's no looking back and going, I'm so much better than these other people. It does nothing for you. It's poison to your spiritual life. You don't look at dumb fucks and say, oh, wow, at least I'm better than that dumb fuck. Yeah, but that dumb fuck is just behind where you are. They're doing the best you can, but you're looking back and resting on your laurels, right? You're resting on the fact that you're better than all these fucking retarded people, right? These fucking, people don't have the ability for abstract thought. You can't fucking look at them to validate your existence. You have to be better. If you do have more talent and you are farther along than other people, you have to work twice as hard to move up and go forward so you can help pull those people along, right? You're all in this together. So, the people who have more, spiritual capital, more consciousness, you got to work twice as hard. There's no celebrating. There's no taking a fucking, victory walk. There's no any of that shit. None of that shit exists. That's just what people think is, oh, look I'm great. I'm going to do a victory dance. Why? Because what the fuck you do? You realize something was fake. You realized, you became a little bit more conscious than the average fucking sheeple. Congratulations, right? And I can speak about how being on the spiritual path, that it's overwhelming what you have to do. When you see people much farther ahead of you, certainly the masters of the Sizemar system, but even other people who have, committed to God in ways that, would be hard for me to do. I mean, maybe by the end of my life, I'll be able, I don't know, maybe we'll see. But, their commitment is just almost complete, right? In terms of the masters of the system, 100% commitment to God, and everything else is, just whatever they have to do because God wants them to do it. 100% servant of God is, not just going out and feeding the poor and doing superficial performative bullshit, but committing internally to every thought that you have is how can I serve God better in one way or another? All your energy's put into serving God. There's been people like that have existed, and it's, it's humbling to anybody looking up at it because, I mean, it's a commitment that most of us can't even think about, or can't even comprehend. But in all that, all these people that still think they can change the system and still think any of this stuff matters in the truth community, you're not even really a truther yet. You're not confronting the full fucking demonic nature of your system. And it's not going to be divinized. It can't be changed. And it's going to fucking implode at some point. And if it's going to implode, then you've got to ask serious questions about what does that mean for me, not just in terms of your survival and your adaptation to the new system. You know, what happens if the system 100% dependent on collapses? But if the system that is I'm 100% dependent on collapses, then what's my purpose? What's my role in the world? If everything that I have is tied to the system, if all my self-esteem, you know, like you're working for a company and you find out the company is corrupt as fuck and you've been serving evil for so long, you know, which we all are. We're all serving evil because the system is demonic and it just keeps on getting worse. And so when you realize that you're participating in that, then, you know, everything that you're doing, every reward that you get, or every pat on the back, your accomplishments that you think you have is for a demonic system. And you have to find another reason for being. Like, why do you get up in the morning if it isn't to have to partake in the system in one way or another? If all your rewards and all your goals and everything you look forward to is in the system, then what the fuck are you doing, right? What are you fucking doing with your life? You know, what are you doing to, you know, how are you going to motivate yourself to get up in the morning when the system's gone, right? You have to change your understanding of why you're here. And none of these people are even flirting with it, yet they come out and act like, you know, knowers and that they have something to offer all these people. And it's really, you know, not just a distraction from the beast, but it's distraction from the truth and what people need to be thinking about as we entered into the apocalyptic phase of this story. Okay, so let me see if there's any comments here I'm going to get to, and then I'll add those. I'm sure there'll be a few. Okay, so I just did the Thursday, meditation I do on the Gratefullness meditation channel that I usually do on Tuesday, but it just got away from me this week. And it's really good sitting, and a new kind of technique came, so I think it worked out the way it's supposed to work out. And when I got done with the sitting, I brought my dogs outside, and I just took my cold bath. I take a cold bath every day. And I was wanting to add a few more things about this thing with Candace Owens and all this kind of stuff with celebrities, the celebrity aspect of the truth community. So there has been people who are celebrities in one way or another. It's happened recently with Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, kind of not. It's a little bit different, but sort of the same way. It happened with Roseanne Barr. There was a guy named Isaac Cappy who really wasn't a celebrity. He had a, one line in a Thor movie kind of thing. But he, knew Hollywood and these things. And, other sort of semi-famous people that come into the truth community, and they immediately get all kinds of love. They immediately get all kinds of, viewership and fans and like people falling all over them. And, I always said how it made the truth community look like hypocrites because, Hollywood is the worst. The modeling industry is the worst. Hollywood is the second worst. And then, all this politics and all these other things after that. And when any of these people come in, Trump flirting with the truth community, right? And when these people come in and you talk about how much you dislike Hollywood and how you talk about the beast system, whatever, but then someone successful comes in and you're like, oh my God, this is so great. And you're getting validation from a famous person. And it shows that you're not really a truther because why the fuck would you need validation from a famous person, right? And the other piece to this is, let's say you're a master mechanic and a celebrity starts to become a mechanic, right? And, I don't know, Brad Pitt. So the woo stealer, woo, he stole my woo bit. On Ellen. You guys don't remember that. But let's say Brad Pitt becomes a fucking mechanic. He doesn't become a better mechanic than you just because he's famous, right? And you see this quite often. There's a big thing going on with the Los Angeles Clippers. They got this owner, Steve Ballmer, who's one of the richest men in the world, and he was very successful at Microsoft. But he's been a disaster as an owner. And there's lots of basketball owners, you can see it there, where these guys come in and they think because of their success in business, it's going to translate as an owner, and they always fail. Because, people who are successful at one thing doesn't mean they're going to be successful at another. But even more important than that, people who are successful in the beastly system, people who have found success and, fame and fortune and things in the beastly system don't really convert well to the truth community because they are successful in the material system, and so they have a fondness for the material system. They have a fondness for the economic system. They have the fondness for politics. They're connected by it, and it's warped them in such a way that they'll never be really good truthers. They'll never really get the whole truther thing. They're just not. They've been shaped in a form where they're successful people in the system, and so they have trouble rejecting the system the way people who are not successful in the system can. Right? People who aren't, their self-esteem isn't tied to the system. I mean, even if you've been somewhat, successful or lucky in the system, but your self-esteem isn't tied to it, right? Like if you really get a lot of self-esteem from social media, then you won't come out against social media the way that you should, because, it's part of how you identify as a person. It's part of your egoism, that social media love that you're getting. And so you have to, to be a spiritual person, you have to have the ability for renunciation, right? Renouncing the world in different ways. Living in the world, in Saj Marg it's called non-attachment attachment. You have attachments, you have family, you have a job, you have these things, but you're not attached to them the way that most people are. Not that you're distant and you neglect whatever your family and your responsibilities. You perform them, but you're thinking about God, and God, you're only loyal to God, this kind of thing, right? That you're there, serving everybody through God, not because of the system itself. It's a hard thing for most people to do. So when people like Candace Owens come in, who have been successful as right-wing political people, and they were on board with Trump, and they were, on board with all the right-wing bullshit, and then they kind of wake up and they're like, oh yeah, it's the left-right paradigm. They still never really get it because they're still Republicans at heart. They're still right-wing people, and they still have a prejudice and hatred for the liberals. Where someone who really wasn't that into any of these things finds out it's all a fucking lie, and it's very easy to remake oneself because you never really were attached to all these things, right? And so, this has always been the problem in the truth community. You're looking for the beast itself to validate your discovery that the beast is corrupt. And it's never going to happen. And Candace Owens is doing it now, and all these people looking for some solution in a system that is, demonic. You're looking for a divine solution in a demonic system. And it doesn't fucking work. I say it over and over again. And, it means kind of, in terms of what you hold dear, it's kind of hopeless. And that's too much for people to take. All right, so let me go check out the comments here. Okay, I saw there was one comment here. The person writes, Mikey McCoy is speculated to have an affair with a male staffer at TPUSGay. Strikes again. Remember, TPUSGay strikes again. That's a separate statement. Do you mean Mikey McCoy, or do you mean, and again, I don't know if this person is going to hear this, but do you mean the other guy, Tyler Boyer? Because if it's Mikey McCoy, that's a whole new fucking story. And where did that come from? Again, Candace Owens hasn't provided anything, but I've got some sources, right? Which maybe she has and maybe she doesn't. She says she's got more shit she's going to unload at the TPUSGay gathering with these fucks. And so, it just matters whether it's, it's verifiable, but, who knows? A French guy named Pierre, no way. Or just reading these comments. I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to shut this off and read them. Okay, so somebody sent a link of a video, a horrific video. The people who, this is the other videos that are on this channel. Erica Kirk files paternity lawsuit against J.D. Vance, exposes Usha, something. And then this one with Mikey McCoy had affair with male staff member. And then the video before that has J.D. Vance secretly takes over an affair, Trump's devastating MRI results. So this is a piece of shit channel. The video's god-awful. I'm not going to ban the person for recommending it, but it's a piece of shit video, and it provides no proof. It says a male staffer has said that some whistleblower, and there's no testimony. I couldn't get through the video. It's horrible. Gaudy music, just a piece of shit thing. And so, but, you know, that's going around right now. But don't think that that video is real. It's like these people suck who put out shit like that. It's just, they're the opposite of truthers. They just, you know, I mean, they just make up lies and salacious headlines and put out shit for dumb fucks and dramatic videos. Okay, so I think I have one comment to read. I don't know if I read this already. You think if Jesus came back, he would ever want to see another cross? It's like wearing a rifle pendant to honor JFK. That's a Bill Hicks joke. You know, I've been talking about that. Like I said, Christianity had a crucifixion problem. Like, it's not a good ending to the story of how the person dies, right? In general, people who, even the ones, like in Christianity, it's all torture, and I should read all the ways that the disciples were killed. And then various saints in the Christian tradition were also killed that way, right? But there's a lot in the tradition of saints where they don't die because of, you know, most saints outside of like these places, western parts of the world, they die of natural causes, and it still isn't great, right? You know, they're suffering, and, you know, the death isn't like some wonderful, I mean, the moment of death is great. You know, that's where the person leaves the body, but up until that moment, it could be shitty, right? Like, you know, the crucifixion is a specific thing because it's a loss of power. It means Jesus was powerless to stop the powers that be from crucifying him, and how are you going to believe that guy if, you know? And so they had to twist the story, like I said. But, you know, it's none of those things really matter. It's the person's ability to, no matter what they have to endure physically in society, whatever their struggles are, how they can stay grateful to God and, you know, not lose their faith. I mean, that's more of the test than anything else. Anyways, let me wrap this one up here. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely born from the Apocalypse. And the Ascension, everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.